Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Do you know what today is?
Hump day!
Totally hump day. Feeling like a hump day. Like a hump day,
Is
Massey lost day. What?
Is it feel like a hump day? Like I totally lose during the week. I lose track of. Like I told Kate, I'm like, I'll be home late tomorrow, and she's like, why? I'm like, I got a haircut appointment. She's like, I thought it was Thursday. Like it, I totally lose track of what day.
When you're having so much fun,
Yeah.
it's like it all kind of blurs together.
I was just gonna say it all kind of blurs together.
Yeah. Whatever. What's going on, everybody? We are crushing it out there. Murtech has rated the stream. At least everything is now right with the world. Thanks, Murtech. Hello. We've got 26
Special
people
open today.
on X. Yes, we've got a special beginning.
Yes, not open beginning.
Right. And it makes me so happy.
I thought it was.
Oh,
neat.
so happy. So yesterday was my twins' baccalaureate mass. They graduate on Friday. It was really weird, all settling in. It's kind of cool when you look throughout the church. You look at people this is their first kid who's graduating. And they're so much younger than I am. And then, of course, it's my husband and me, Joe and me. And it's like, these are our last. And it's like the whole spectrum in between. And everybody has the same feeling. And it's just the coolest thing. What a great time if you have a graduate in your life. Congratulations to you and best wishes to them. Nothing talks like graduation like parasites, right?
Well, I mean, the parasites of your children will be leaving your.
Well, I don't know.
Having to feed them.
You might know. That's not where I was going with it, Brock.
Oh, that's where I was going with
try.
it.
I was going to say maybe you're having a grad party and you're going to have some sushi. That's probably not what you're having at your grad party, but who knows? You know, I love fish. I love sushi. I love salmon. And I had no idea that salmon alone has something to the effect of 70 different parasites in it. And they get into our body and they lay eggs, which is just the grodiest thing. I mean, we had lice in our family, the twins did. And for like a week and a half, I was like everything about it was just like, this is a total weird thing. And to take a parasite cleanse is a smart move. So this is what the wellness company did. Dr. Peter McCullough, he recommends doing a parasite cleanse at least once a year as a preventive measure. And, you know, it's one of those things that I think we're smart to do. So here's what it is. It's ivermectin and mebendazole, right? So ivermectin paralyzes the parasite's nervous system. Mebendazole starves them. And so you flush them out of your system. Each capsule contains 25 milligrams of Ivor, 250 milligrams of Meb, lab tested for quality. And you can now get a more budget-friendly 45 capsule option that costs $250 less than you were going to spend, okay? So it gives you 2 21-day parasite cleanse cycle. Same formula as the original, just a smaller quantity. And when you go to twc.health/Wendy, put my name in, you'll get free shipping, 10% off. This is the parasite cleanse. This is what it looks like. It's not sexy, but I'd rather not have eggs being laid inside of my body.
Not like parasites are sexy either.
So grody. Hey, Brock, I want to do something real fast. You ready? Can you listen in?
Don't you gulp. Damn you, woman. Listen.
Some woman on the stream yesterday in the comments was upset that I gulp. I swallow a little too loudly. So
everybody has their thing.
Ryan can't hear people eating. It's like mesophilia, not mesothelioma, but it's like some phobia, whatever.
Well, he's weird.
He is weird, and I love him for his weirdness because you can hear how if people start eating and around you and you're not eating, how you can hone in on it and be like,
That's the thing. You hone in on
Yes.
it, and now it gets louder and louder and louder.
Correct. When somebody points that out to you, did you ever notice that the movie screen's got a cut in it? You see it right there? And you're
now
like,
I do. Thanks. I
I
missed
did
the
that
movie.
at
Saw
the
the
Penguins
cuts.
games. You see all those flashing lights, and then you're like, it's all I can see. It's true. So if my gulping is bothering you guys, suck it. How about
Wow.
that? How about that?
Well, we
Come
just
on now.
lost a listener. You know,
She's always welcome to have her opinion, albeit wrong. It's good. I'm just kidding. I had to, and you know it.
yes.
You know it. So, hi, guys. I love you. I'm so glad you're here.
Except for the gulper.
No, she's always welcome. Slurp it, baby. That's right.
Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane,
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back, not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Happy hump day to all of you. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, we got a lot of positive news to talk about today. And if you like listening, I'm so glad you do. If you're on our podcast, Wendy Bell Radio, thank you. If you're listening on the radio, delighted you're there. Hey, if you want to join the live video stream and you want to be part of our chat, join the community, join the conversation, go to our app, wendybellradio.com. Yesterday was a big day. President Trump is king. Or is it MAGA reclaiming the country? Reclaiming our time. We're reclaiming our country. One dude, one gal at a time. It's beautiful. We're going to talk all about it. All of the stuff you need to know this morning or this afternoon. But first, and I've never done this before, most important part of the show, you know this. There's a little girl who's about to turn 4 years old. Her name is Harley, and she's from Butler, Pennsylvania. And every day, she watches this program with her grandpap. And he recorded her doing something very special. Enjoy.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
She got the amen down as we're praying for this great nation. Harley, God bless you. It's so wonderful that you were part of this Wendy Bell radio family. Thank you, sweetheart. And thank you to Larry for sharing his granddaughter with us. That just absolutely made my week. Okay, so let's get to the nuts and bolts of what happened yesterday, you guys. Thomas Massie, I'm going to tell you what, Democrats freaking out. Because at this point in a president's second term, they're a lame duck. They are an absolute lame duck. Whether or not there was time in between term one and term two, they don't get stuff accomplished. Everybody kind of goes their own way. It's like herding cats. But all of a sudden, something's going on. This president isn't waning in strength or his ability to motivate voters, his ability to put out one singular message and reach the entire population of this country and well beyond, because make no mistake, everybody's paying attention to what he's doing. This guy has the ability to move elections by speaking directly to the people who created him. And that is you. And the only thing that the Democratic Party has left now is to put all of its eggs in the basket of anything that is extreme. anything that is to resist counter Trump, anything that is off the wall, completely beyond bonkers. This is where we are. And they know it, and they are panicking. And you're going to hear some sounds of panic. You're going to hear it from Hakeem Jeffries on this program today. And I'm sorry in advance because I hate playing him. It's terrible. Gavin Newsom looks like, seriously, he's seen a ghost. But let's get to the big breaking news last night. Trump's endorsement juggernaut marches on, crushes once popular Republicans who crossed him. The most recent victim, Thomas Massie, who was defeated by Trump-backed rival Ed Gallrein, a former Navy SEAL and Kentucky farmer, in one of the most expensive congressional races in America's history. And this is giant because Massie lost in Kentucky's 4th House District primary by about 10 points. After he won the last 2 general elections by a whopping 65% and 98%, respectively. But Thomas Massie didn't just wander off the reservation. Thomas Massie made it his lightning rod to resist Trump. He is now a Democrat darling, which tells you everything you need to know. Here's CNN, Erin Burnett. She's literally flabbergasted. It's before the polls have closed, and CNN has to call the race. Here's how it went down.
Breaking news, we have a projection to make in Kentucky. CNN can now project that Ed Gallrein will win the Republican primary against Thomas Massie for the 4th Congressional District in Kentucky. And that is a seismic political decision made by voters in Kentucky tonight. Let's go straight to Jeff Zeleny. He's at Thomas Massie's headquarters. And Jeff, a very, very clear and strong defeat for Thomas Massie. I mean, what is happening there? This is being called, obviously, quite early.
Aaron, it certainly is. I mean, the polls have been closed less than 2 hours, and just a few moments ago, people began filling into the room. Now word has reached the supporters of Thomas Massie that he has fallen short to Ed Gallrein. Ed Gallrein is a farmer and a former Navy SEAL. He was a bit player in this race in many respects. President Trump made this a one-on-one contest between him and Congressman Thomas Massie, and the overwhelming amount of spending and money in this race was something that the likes of which no House primary has ever seen. So there's no question that Thomas Massie, who rose through the Tea Party era, starting back in 2014, found himself in a very different Republican Party, a very different president, and President Trump.
You know what Thomas Massie did to Thomas Massie, what he did. It's not President Trump's problem. He didn't do this to Thomas Massie. He just got inside his head and drove him crazy. Thomas Massie voted against Trump's agenda. He urged Elon Musk to target Republicans who backed Trump's agenda. He opposed the big, beautiful bill. He broke with Trump on Iran. This was a governance test. This is what happened in Kentucky sends a message to every Republican in Washington, D.C. Trump is a firebrand. Trump is the leader of the party, but the party created the leader because we've been tired of the rhinos that have led this party for decades. This is the culling of the herd. This is the course correction. This is whipping out a new map and charting a new path. And those who don't want to travel it with us, and there's 95%, 99% MAGA support behind Donald Trump. Those who don't want to join in that march to save America, you will be called. That's not a threat. That's called a beleaguered and exhausted conservative electorate. That is a group of people who by and large keep to themselves. We are honest people. We don't cheat in elections. We don't try to screw over our neighbor. We get out of your way. We live our lives. We raise our children to be the best people they can be. And for the last 30 years, the Republican Party has let us down. And we've walked this slow walk to the very precipice of the loss of this country, its values, by a Democrat Party that is so freaking extreme. It is unrecognizable. Now, other names who should be feeling the sphincter effect right now. These are D and F Liberty score having Republicans, according to Conservative Review. And this was up till 2024. All right. They stopped taking note of all of their votes in 2024. If you're a Republican, should you not vote conservatively? Should you not vote as a Republican 90% of the time or more mandatorily? Because I think so. That's what you run on. But guess who's got a D or an F? How about in New York? Andrew Garbarino. How about Missouri? Ann Wagner. Ohio. Anthony Gonzalez. Iowa. Ashley Henson. What are you doing? Why are you voting against the wishes of this party? In Georgia, Austin Scott. Missouri, Blaine Lugmeyer. Ohio, Brad Wenstrup. Kentucky, Brett Guthrie. Are you paying attention? Buddy Carter in Georgia. Carlos Jimenez in Florida. Carol Miller in West Virginia. What are you doing? You're not listening to the people who elected you. This isn't a matter of some extreme MAGA party. This is a party that extremely loves American exceptionalism. We take great joy in the American flag. We cry at the national anthem. And when a child puts their hand over their heart and recites the Pledge of Allegiance, if it doesn't speak to that patriot inside of you that might have died long ago, if it doesn't rekindle that flame, I don't know what will. This is what we believe. These are the values that we share. Now, we're fair people. We believe you should be able to do you, but you just haven't wanted to do you. You've wanted to get away with everything. You support things that are unsupportable. We're not for the things that you want. We watched quietly. We did what we needed to do during COVID. We did what was for the greater good. And everything that was put out was bunk. And we knew it was. And we went along anyway. But we're done. We're not going along to get along. I'm not interested in negotiation. I'm not here to discuss the finer points of toxic liberalism. This is the stake through the heart of that movement. You either figure it out, Democrats, or you're going to be left in the dust. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, the wall's closing in on Rhino Senator John Cornyn. He lost President Trump's endorsement. Dude never had it. John Thune's got his unease in a bunch. Yeah, you're next, bro. 28. We're watching you and Rand Paul next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Gee whiz, it's almost like she's a little fussy. No.
I didn't see the results of Fitzpatrick. Was he challenged?
Yes, he was. You know by whom? Mark Houck.
And he still won.
I'm pretty sure. I looked in the results because it's Pennsylvania, land before time. They're like, wait, how many are we down by? So I'm sure he lost. I'm sure Fitzpatrick won. Like, we got to carve these D-bags out of here. Brian Fitzpatrick in Pennsylvania has one of the lowest Liberty scores, 26%. What the hell are we doing? Is there not somebody in his part of Pennsylvania that's got better ideas? Mark Houck, father of 7, does. He was raided by the freaking feds under Joe Biden's corrupt DOJ. He was dragged out of his house by men dressed in riot gear with shotguns and rifles, right? And dragged out in front of his family, who were screaming and crying in fear in their house. And we can't get this guy over the finish line. Okay. I have to move to a different part of the state so I can run and smear some of these people. Can you imagine? I could be, do you think, yes or no, I could be Brian Fitzpatrick now? I bet you I could.
I bet you could.
I bet you I could. And I guarantee you I would get President Trump's endorsement. I would bother the hell out of that man until I got it. I would blow up Sean Parnell's phone. I'd be like, get it to the president. I'd call Christina Bob. I want to tell you guys about the Simkovich Concussion Institute because what they do is so important. I got a message from a gentleman who says, you know, it's difficult when you live in another part of the country and you realize that there's somebody who might be able to help your debilitating essential tremor. He's heard the stories that I've been telling about our friend Diane and how she got such great improvement by going to a specialist for concussions and traumatic brain injury. She never had a concussion, but he fixed things in her mouth and moved her in such a way that her symptoms, she believes, 75% have been soothed a bit. And this gentleman was like, I wish I was closer. Call 412-366-3700, SimkovicConcussionInstitute.com. Don't suffer in pain. Don't have headaches. Don't feel like you're out of control. Call and see what they can do for you, because I've watched Dr. Simkovich heal with his hands and perform literal miracles. So I'm biased. I'm a believer. 412-366-3700, SimkovicConcussionInstitute.com.
I Googled it. Fitzpatrick was unopposed, so the Hulk must have been during the last one.
Oh, that was 24. I beg your pardon. That was 24. You're right. And he got walloped, if I'm not mistaken. That's it.
But see, PA politics is different for you. You guys that don't live in PA.
Mm-hmm.
The party here, the Republican Party, are rhinos.
Mm-hmm.
The people in charge are rhinos.
There's yeah. I wonder how you would do that, because somebody needs to move to that district or be risen up in that district and take on the without telling me that. Well, all we have to do is go to pbs.org and we can see this fine headline: how Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie, toppled by Trump, charted his own way. Oh, do tell. There aren't many lawmakers like Thomas Massie left in Congress. That's right, because they've all been carved out. The renegade Republican who rose to prominence as an idiosyncratic and stubborn outlier in his party, popular in the Kentucky district that repeatedly sent him to the House, lost his primary bid for re-election Tuesday after a vicious and costly attack by President Donald Trump. Vicious. Vicious is calling someone a rapist. Vicious is calling someone a Nazi. Vicious is calling someone, a racist. Calling out somebody who doesn't vote in line with the party and therefore needs to be culled, because what's needed now is progress, action, motion, development, something. PBS. A stunning outcome caps a career like few others and shows the extent of the president's ability to badger, badmouth, and eventually boot out his political adversaries, right? And no lawmaker is apparently safe. Now, John Cornyn, right, he's bracing for defeat as President Trump puts his eggs in Ken Paxton's basket. This is what you get. Get 95% negative news about this president, and he's kicking ass all over the country. That's got to infuriate the triggered leftist media, don't you think? It's very interesting to watch, almost like a robot self-destruct. Like the steam starts coming out, and then they're like, bah, 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 bah. This is what's going on with the media. We've been telling everybody they're not paying attention. Yeah, about that. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up now. Because John Cornyn, according to the Associated Press, as Trump endorses Ken Paxton in the Texas GOP primary, Senator Cornyn is, we're getting a lot of flush out of other rhinos. John Thune, very upset. This is an outstanding human being. He's a fine man. No, he's a rhino, and so are you, bro. So we've got your number as well. According to the Associated Press, this is their take on what's coming next in Texas. President Donald Trump on Tuesday endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Republican primary for the U.S. Senate, supercharging his effort to oust incumbent Senator John Cornyn in next week's runoff. He said Ken's a true MAGA warrior. He has always delivered for Texas, will continue to do so in the United States Senate. News of the endorsement broke during, well, let's listen in. No, we didn't grab the sound for this. Let me say this. News of the endorsement broke during a Paxton campaign event in Allen, Texas. Cheers from the supporters. They started dancing to YMCA. Paxton saying, I have so much respect for the president. I appreciate so much his endorsement. And then the May 26th runoff coming up, Paxton and Corman, that's next Tuesday, finishing off the top vote getters in a March 3 primary in which no candidate won. So now, then the Associated Press says Trump's endorsement is the latest of several he has handed out in Republican primaries in an attempt to cull his party of politicians whom he's deemed insufficiently loyal. Is it a matter of loyalty? Or is it a matter of getting stuff done? If you're going to vote against things repeatedly, if we're going to get to the door of the Senate and a pivotal vote needs to come in order for this agenda to move forward, if you have an R after your name, the president and the party in power should be able to count on you to push the legislation, to push the judicial nominations, to push the ambassadorships, to push whatever executive order has been signed and stalled on President Trump's desk across the freaking finish line. We are tired of lip service. We are tired of people who ride the wave of being conservative and being in the orbit of this president and what this Make America Great Again movement is. But when it comes to the pivotal vote, predictably disappoints. And we're kind of in this weird place in Maine, right? So Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, she's not up until 28. She needs to go. Alaska's got to figure out how to eliminate this woman who failed into her father's position and has been a predictable failure for the GOP for 30 years. Maine. Susan Collins is running up against a guy with a Nazi tattoo on his chest who admits to masturbating reportedly in porta potties. And there's a side of me that wants Susan Collins to lose. Now, do I want Graham Plattner as a senator? Do I want the Democrats to gain a seat? Hell no, I don't. But is that what it's going to take to remove someone who seems immovable from a state? I don't know. But the party is looking deeply at itself. Who's going to be a part of this next chapter? Who's going to push us into that next winning environment? What's going to come next? And will the president's Midas touch continue longer? Yes, in fact, it will. So as Thomas Massie goes down, John Cornyn's sphincter gets tighter, and Republicans who are in the middle of the road are looking at each other saying, oh my, are we next? I want you to hear the word of CNN, the word of Fox News, as it seems like even conservative media is surprised by the breadth of President Trump's power to galvanize, mobilize voters to show up for primaries that they almost never do. That's the key. Turning out the vote. If you're a Democrat, are you turning out to resist, or are you turning out because your party offers anything better? Let's talk about it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We'll see what happens. I love how PBS is like, oh, Thomas Massie is a man of the people. He's a man of principle. You love him because he did what Marjorie Taylor Greene did. Well, you love him because he's an Adam Kinzinger. He's a Liz Cheney. You offered a nibble at that apple and he took it. Okay.
People, including Massey, make the argument that he votes 93% of the time with the president. That's before, like in the last year and a half, how many times has he voted against President Trump?
Every single time. Bill. You know, and one could say, Thomas Massie voted against the CARES Act. He's like the only guy who did. I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect somebody who votes on principle. For instance, John Fetterman, he does that.
Yeah, but
he does that, right? On things. And it's not that and JD Vance does the best job. And you'll hear it in hour number 2 if you missed his press conference or the White House press conference yesterday. He does a great job of explaining Also at a Turning Point USA event in Mississippi earlier this week. What the issue with President Trump is in Thomas Massey and why he became persona non grata. It's not some grudge match. It's not because he expects 100% fealty. It's because it was obstreperous, it was obstructionist, and it was purposeful. And then he just went sideways, and everything that was reasonable and rational and conservative that you should be down as an American first conservative, he voted against. So it's like, now you're just being a wiener. Let's just say it. Now you're being a wiener.
It's to me, like, I understand principle, like voting on principle, but the fact of the matter is the people of Kentucky voted you in, and they voted Donald Trump in by incredible margins. At some point, you have to say, I'm not just voting for Thomas. That's what Fetterman I can accept.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not voting just for Thomas Massey.
Right.
Like, and then if, and politically, if it blows up, you can be like, hey, this is what you people wanted.
Right.
I'm trying to give you what you want.
Right. I'll give you what you want. What you want is MCT wellness. You need some healthy fat, a scoop of that in your water bottle every day. If you take a thermos or you take a Hydro Flask or something, one of our, maybe a Wendy Bell Radio, what's it called? What do you drink out of, Brock? What are those called again? Tumblers. You put in a scoop of Dr. Gundry's MCT Wellness by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Especially if you know you're not going to have the ability to eat anything for a while. You're like, look, I want to take the edge off. I don't want to think about food. I've got a presentation. I got to catch a flight. I got to pick up the kids. I got stuff to do at home. I don't want to be thinking about food, and I'm trying to lose weight. Well, Dr. Gundry wanted to lose a lot of weight, more than 50 pounds, right? And so he created this drink, which does exactly what the dietary supplement notification here says it does. It's got polyphenols in it. It's got, what does it say? It has ketones for more energy. And what this does is essentially silence your food noise and cravings and crushes your appetite for 4 to 5 hours. And when you skip a meal, it's amazing what happens. You lose weight. It's delicious. It's wonderful in water. Shake it up. Enjoy it. I usually start drinking it. Brock gives it to me right around noon time. And that way I'm not starving throughout the show. And it's great. I love it. I think I'm in relatively good weight positioning. I told you guys I wanted to lose like 5 to 8 pounds. And so I started this thing and I've gotten back down to my fighting weight with it, which is great. I think if you go underneath the video box, there's all the links for the sponsors, kind of tells you what I was doing, and you can be a part of it there if you wish.
I just texted you.
Okay. Oh. What does he say?
That's just the last one.
A former reality TV star?
No, I'd like to see him do well. He's
Do you want
a
it?
character. I don't know him. I assume he probably supports me. Does he support me?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. I heard he does. I heard he's a big MAGA person. He's doing well. I don't know. You have a rigged vote out there. That's the problem. The votes are rigged. You have a really rigged vote in California. You have all the mail-in ballots, everything else. Very hard to win because the elections are very dishonest. If we had Jesus Christ come down and count the votes, I would have won California because I do great with Hispanics.
Yeah.
But it's a rigged vote. They sent out 38 million votes. Nobody knows where they're going. Of course, the Democrats are against them. Disproportionately, Democrats get many more votes. Some get 8 votes. They get 8 cards. And Republicans have to call in, where's my card? It's a rigged system.
Yes.
One of the most, not the worst, I'll give you a list. Maybe I'll do my list. But California's one of the most dishonest states for voting.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Like, how does my sister or people who are staunch, devout Democrats, how do they
Did your sister vote in the LA mayoral race?
Oh, sure. I believe so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you.
You should start sending her Spencer Pratt tweets, the videos.
She hasn't responded to my texts. So I wonder if, I don't know if I'm calling the wrong number or something, or she just doesn't want to talk to me, or she got a new number and didn't tell me, or I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Maybe she changed her number without telling you.
I know. You know. Some of this stuff is super interesting. This the blowhardiest story on Thomas Massey. So if Ken Paxton beats John Cornyn in the primary, goes on and advances and takes on James Tallarico, who's just a nutcase. I mean, it literally, this guy does not espouse any of the values that are even remotely common sense. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, by the way. Here you have a guy who believes that a boy can be a girl can be a toaster, and everybody can just live happily that way. That makes no sense to me.
And God is non-binary.
Right? Is this the guy who's the vegan?
Yes.
The vegan from Texas? Like, what Texan? What red meat ranching Texan wants a vegan? Does he also drink tea with his pinky up? You know, what else about this guy? James Tallarico talks about billionaire mega donors to the GOP. Like he's some little guy and he's going to fight against the machine. I'm going to fight against it. He's already raised like $40 million personally, what have you, because, you know, he talks about and represents things that are so important to the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is blinded by one thing: stop Trump, get Trump, ruin Trump, destroy Trump, kill Trump, whatever it is you got to do, get this guy out of the picture. If that means we have to vote with the devil himself, so be it. Resist. Well, I'm just not thinking that the core base of the Democrat Party is like, yeah, I'm totally down with that. You got your wackos. You got your white college educated toxic liberal chicks, right? Who wish they were black so they could act like more victims, because that's who they push as victims all the time. Right? James Tallarico is saying that the Republican Party and Ken Paxton is going to be backed by billionaire donors to the GOP. What about like Michael Bloomberg? Because he gives to you, Democrats. How about George Soros or Reid Hoffman or Dustin Moskovitz or Tom Steyer? How about JB and JB Pritzker? How about Marilyn and Jim Simons? How about those people? Those are huge mega donor billionaires to the DNC, James. Good luck when it comes to the marketplace of ideas. I'm not so sure the people of Texas are going to buy what James Tallarico is selling, period. I want you to hear Bill Hemmer speaking with Laura Ingraham yesterday. This is as the Massey stuff is coming in. And it's basically when you go against Trump, the idea, you know, who was created by MAGA, as Harry Ensign says, you go in the grinder. And the track record here is dizzyingly impressive. It's historically solid. It is unwavering. This MAGA alignment is so frightening to the left. Because usually we mind our own business. It's like herding cats. But we're pissed. You fiddled with our children. You fiddled with our churches. You fiddled with our rules. You arrested people. You threw them away. You don't care about the unborn. You back things that are dangerous. Your policies are unaffordable. And that's just for starters, off the top of my head. Questions? Here's Bill Hemmer with Laura Ingraham. He's like, look, Bill's like literally, he's speechless. He's like, Trump has so much power in this party. So many Republicans came to campaign for Thomas Massey and they could not move the needle. He got slapped down anyway. Bill Hemmer, stunned by the degree of victory.
Warren Davidson, a Republican from Ohio, he came in as well. All to campaign on behalf of Thomas Massey. And that was their
Trump
judgment.
threatened to pull his endorsement, right?
Yeah,
of her?
Right. And we'll see what happens in Colorado when her race comes up. But right now, Laura, this is a resounding victory for the president and the power he has now in the Republican Party at just about every level. Remember in Indiana, the state senators who nobody even thought about right? When he endorsed almost 6 out of 7, 6 of them won, Laura.
Yeah, well, Raffensperger in Georgia looks like that. You know, he did terribly there. So
we'll
another
check in
Trump
on that
foe.
momentarily.
Yeah, that's good. That's coming up, but that's another one. We'll watch that result, but that is not going to be positive. My prediction is, in the end, for Raffensperger.
And you are correct. I mean, think about it. Raffensperger didn't even get 15% of the vote in the Georgia gubernatorial primary. This was the Republican jerk Secretary of State under Trump, who with Brian Kemp, right, helped Democrats steal the 2020 election. I'm not breaking news to you. I'm not some conspiracy theorist. We've got the facts. And Democrats are afraid of the facts. See, here's what's different about MAGA Republicans. Here's what's different about Make America Great Again, conservative Americans. We don't want people to keep failing upwards. If you are a rhino, if you vote against common sense, if you do things that endanger this country, that threaten our children, that cost us ridiculous money, pack your bags. Now, that's not Trump. That's a pissed off MAGA electorate. In line, in agreement, in an accord. And that's scary as stones to the left. Laura Ingraham has it later on in the program, a Democratic strategist, Doug Schoen, on. And he warns, he says to the Democratic Party, do not underestimate this president again. He has the ability to do something extraordinarily unusual. He can motivate voters to participate, to show up, and to pull the lever.
So this is Trump country. And Massey has his positions, I get that, but this is Trump country. And everyone who's gone against Trump, Mitt Romney, gone. We have so many others. Liz Cheney, gone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But, I guess they gave it the old college try. But in the end, this is Trump's party.
Yeah, and Laura, that's a key point for my party not to forget, because Trump has the ability to motivate and mobilize voters. We're seeing it today. We saw it in Louisiana. And in a general election like the one that's coming up, turnout is going to be critically important. Right now, the balance of enthusiasm is on the Democratic side. But given these results and given the power of the Trump brand and his endorsement, I think we're seeing evidence that this could be a closer election in the fall than some of the polls might be suggesting now.
Even more staggering, President Trump can motivate voters and mobilize their vote with a singular post on Truth Social. Democrats need crowds on demand. And beyond that, they need to hire a bunch of old school hippies who would rather not work as greeters at Walmart and would instead cash in on holding a stupid sign about resisting President Trump, who's a king. I mean, think about that. How much would it stink to be on the opposite side here? Now, CNN still believes it's all about Donald Trump's ego, right? They don't understand. There is a huge chunk of this country that is fed up, and we have stewed silently. We don't go out and burn down cities. We don't go break into department stores and rob and loot. We're not out shooting people, marauding as gangsters, and creating chaos. We've been taking notes, and we've been percolating, and we've been bubbling. And that's scary. And it should be. Listen to this CNN hack on President Trump and his.
But Donald Trump's goal is not to win the most races for Republicans. Donald Trump's goal is to reshape the Republican Party in his image and to make that party come to where he is rather than kind of meeting them where they are. And he has been so successful at that over the last 7 to 8 years. Increasingly, we see Democrats taking some of those tactics too, right? Embracing things like primaries, thinking about what are the ideologies that we actually think we don't want to be a Big Ten about. But Republicans are further along on that process. And during that first term of Trump, he so activated his base to say that anyone who was outside of this small group of people is the enemy. They took away from that term that he was stymied mostly by his own party. We're seeing the political impact of that play out over and over and now in the second term.
It. They'll never get it. There are those who will not be saved. That dude's among them. Harry Enton is not surprised at all by Thomas Massey's defeat. He says, look, he went against the guy who's the chief. And you don't go against the chief when you're just a little engine. Let's go.
Wasn't surprised at all, because the bottom line is this: Donald Trump is the general of the Republican Party, and the Republican primary voters are his soldiers. And if you look at Thomas Massey, you can see it very clearly. You look in 2020, 2022, 2024, he was getting 75%, upwards of 81% of the primary vote in 2020. And today, he gets less than 50% of the vote. That's the story.
That is incredible, because you look at it so consistent time after time after time, and then, wow, look
Boom.
at tonight.
Who's not surprised? Are you guys surprised? Are you like gobsmacked by this? They are, because they've been believing their own crap. They've been drinking their own Kool-Aid. How is it that Thomas Massey lost in one of the most conservative parts of America? I mean, and then what he said in his concession speech should basically speak volumes about why MAGA carved him out. Here's Scott Jennings.
Well, it was the most expensive House primary in U.S. history, and the president made it a priority to get rid of Thomas Massey, and he succeeded because Massey had, frankly, become an opponent of the president inside of the party, and you just can't do that. You know, Massey used to, reliably vote with the Republicans. That number had been falling over time. This is one of the most conservative districts in the country. It's certainly a conservative area of Kentucky. They gave Donald Trump a massive victory in 2024. And they expect the Republican congressman who represents them to be part of the team. The two big issues in the race that were in most of the advertising had to do with tax cuts and immigration. And Massey was against Trump on both of his big border security and tax cut bills. And so they said, look, we can get a Republican congressman that'll be part of the team and support the president. That campaign worked. I just want to also add one other thing. Thomas Massey tonight in his concession speech said something despicable, anti-Semitic, nasty, gutter politics, right at the end. What a way to go out. He said, I would have called Ed Galrine, but, I had to find him in Tel Aviv. There was an undercurrent of anti-Semitism in this race on the Massey side. There's been an undercurrent of it in his career, unfortunately, and it really came out in an ugly way tonight. And I think it needs to be stated, acknowledged, and condemned. Because it was pretty despicable.
And if you missed it, this is Thomas Massey last night.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrine in Tel Aviv. I did get the call through, though. I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way.
Right. Best wishes, Congressman. Best wishes. I wish you good luck in your future. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. So how do Democrats respond to MAGA's course correction that keeps plowing full steam ahead? Hakeem Jeffries has something to say that should stop you in your tracks. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Isn't it wild to hear some of this stuff? There's so much to talk about. And you know what? Brock and I were talking, and we were talking about yesterday about how not so much the numbers of viewers watching Rumble right now are down. Our numbers are down, and we pay attention. We run a business, and we have to monitor all of the aspects of the business. There is a degree of checkout where I think some people just get overloaded and they don't want to hear politics all the time. This is not the time to check out. This is the time to be engaged, even peripherally, so you can be witness to what I believe is going to be an astonishing chapter in American history. You've already lived through the bad stuff. You already went through that pandemic. You already went through that vaccine. You already survived a stolen election. You survived 4 years of crazy that's indefensible. I mean, think about that. Why would you not want to watch the recovery, the revenge tour, but the restitution of this country? Why would you miss it?
I think it's so much bigger than Donald Trump.
Oh, it is.
And I just think that you don't necessarily think that because all you hear in the media, and then no matter where you go, you hear Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. I think it's bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think people are pissed.
I want to read you this. This is a story from the Epoch Times. Americans who can are dropping medical insurance. Have you observed what's happening with medical insurance in the United States? There's a huge upheaval taking place, and you might be experiencing it yourself. The Wakely Consulting Group has taken upon itself to track trends in the medical insurance market, both pricing and participation. Their latest report has documented an ongoing and profound shift, one so dramatic that it portends something truly meaningful for the future. Lacking serious reform of the system from Congress, it seems consumers are taking matters into their own hands. People are dropping out of Obamacare. They're dropping out in droves. Based on unique data collection from 80% of the Affordable Care Act individual market, Wakely estimates a material reduction in enrollment for 2026, ranging on average from 17 to 26%. So up to one in four people in the Affordable Care Act in the Obamacare marketplace are dropping out. If you're among them, info.healthrevolution.net. info.healthrevolution.net. These are our friends. We know them. 800-868-6187. Jot the number down. 800-868-6187. You develop the health insurance policy that you want. You choose the coverage that you want. You keep your doctor, choose where you want to go. You do not pay copays. Your deductible comes down dramatically, and you save on average 30 to 60% a month. Think about that. That's hundreds of dollars. For some families, it's more than $1,000. So if you're under the age of 65, if you're self-employed, if you're on COBRA, if you're just pissed because the Affordable Care Act never was affordable and it never gave you good care, 800-868-6187, info.healthrevolution.net. It's important. There's no open enrollment, not like period. It's whenever you want. Info.healthrevolution.net. You're welcome. Platform. Fight Trump. Resist Trump. Go against Trump. Mock Trump. Lie about Trump. Do whatever you can to wrap up smear Trump. Use the media to push the propaganda. Go to the polls, stuff the ballot boxes, send out mail-in ballots, make sure there's fraud, pay people on Skid Row to fill out these petitions and to fake register to vote, right? And then go against the Save America Act, because if it actually came down to proof of identity, they'd get sunk. That's what the Democratic Party is running on. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. President Trump believes in closed borders, safety, American innovation, investment in American manufacturing, training the younger generation to do things that cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. That is stuff that is done with your hands, right? He's trying to give babies savings accounts. He's trying to make it easier for college kids not to be bogged down by ridiculous loans. He's trying to clean up the education system. All this stuff. Democrats are resist Trump. Here's Hakeem Jeffries with, it's only like 30 seconds. It's chilling to say the least, because he wants to stop the momentum. He wants to stop Make America Great Again. He wants America to fail. He wants you to suffer. And he says it in this very small audio soundbite.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people. That's completely and totally unacceptable.
We have to break their spirit. Do you know what? They gave us an appetizer to what they hope to serve as a main course down the road, hopefully starting next January if they can win in the midterms. They abused, tortured, beat January 6 defendants who were found guilty of showing up at the Capitol on January 6th. They showed you. They deprived them of blankets when the weather in Washington, D.C. at the Gulag went below 50 degrees. They put reportedly pubic hair in their food. They made them live in filthy conditions. They didn't allow them to have nail clippers to shave their beards or attend to their hair. What do you think they want to do to you? Gavin Newsom, yesterday, you know they're freaking when Gavin Newsom, who appears like he has seen a ghost or an alien, he says this at the Center for American Progress event. You got to love this. This is what Gavin Newsom says.
We have to win. It's all on the line. You just got to win. I'm done winning arguments. With all due respect to the niceties, it feels good, but we're going to lose our republic. Again, the Founding Fathers did not live and die for this moment. I can't celebrate July 4th, the best of Roman Republic and Greek democracy, co-equal branches of government, popular sovereignty, the rule of law, not at the time where it's the rule of dawn. And if it hasn't dawned on you, I remember spending 90 minutes with Trump in the Oval Office, and I think he honestly thought everything was his. He was showing me the declaration, his declaration. It's a prize, White House, a corruption story happening on our watch.
So Gavin Newsom is the presumptive presidential frontrunner for the Democratic Party in 2028. What are his ideas? What is he going to do? What is his plan? Because all he can do is react. He does not act. Things that he does suck. The stupid diaper scam for his wife's friend. We're going to give newborns diapers, but we're going to charge 5 times more than a typical mom would buy on diapers. And then we're going to basically money launder the rest of that and dole it out to people that we like, right? Like Karen Bass, we're going to give meth heads new teeth. Really? But you have homeless veterans. Got it. It doesn't bode well for them. And to say that they're going to break the spirit of MAGA, that tells you what they see as a vision for this country. They see their job as destroying it. I don't know how much more clear it can be. We will break the spirit of MAGA. A corruption story, Gavin Newsom said, happening on our watch. You know, Democrats always accuse Republicans of it, whatever they're doing. Like you didn't know that. They don't have anything left. And it's freaking glorious. When we come back, hour 2, Bill Cassidy, the sour grapes senator, doing exactly what rhinos do. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Gavin Newsom, what have you done, dude? How much acreage in California has burned under your governorship? How many illegal aliens have crossed the border into California? How much have they stolen from the welfare system in California? How much have the taxes gone up? How unlivable is the state? How impossible is it to find affordable housing? Right? As all the while, the conditions on the street get worse. But other than that, I'm sure it's great. Okay. Gavin Newsom sees the ghost of his presidential hopes vaporizing, drifting off into the ethos. What are you going to do, Gavin? You don't have any skills. What marketable skills do you have if you don't continue to fail upwards?
Money laundering.
Right? At least you got that new $9 million house on your $200,000 salary. Oh, his investments did really well. I don't know anything about that. That's my broker does that. I'm not in charge of that.
So I heard on Fox, the Democrats on Fox was complaining about Trump making trades and putting the trades out, and he said, he's trying to get Nancy Pelosi to stop, and this is wrong. It's just wrong in Congress. It should be wrong for the president. And I'm like, and the first thing that ran through my head was, at least he's telling you what you should buy. If he has insider trading and insider information, he's putting out there what you should buy. He's giving Americans what they're using. I don't remember, what was it? Mark Wayne Mullen bought some water meter reading company for like dirt cheap. And then it went up like how many percent? Mark Wayne Mullen didn't go, hey guys, here's a tweet for you. Check out this water company. At least Trump's telling you. They had to build an app for Nancy Pelosi to where they watch her trades. Not because she told you, because some guy who was smart enough to say, I'm watching her trades. I'm watching what she's doing.
Yeah, I want what she's doing. What's that?
I have a friend that works in the financial industry. He's like, he goes, oh yeah. People watch what government's trades because it's the open secret that at least Trump is up front and say, hey guys, here's what I'm buying. So even if he has inside information, because he's at the Oval Office going, what do you think I should buy today? Hi, Charles Schwab. Yeah, I'd like to make a trade. Right.
I want to tell, if you are like I am, you're in your leading into the late 50s. I'm mid 50s, but late right around the corner. And you're worried about your bone strength. You're worried about your bone density, maybe osteoporosis in that. For somebody who's relatively slight, and I am, it's certainly something I need to be aware of. I take calcium, all this stuff, you've got to be aware of it. Well, what if you could take 12 supplements, 12 different individual pills that you would take in that regard, and you put them in one Healthy Cell gel pack like this one, right? This is the joint health and mobility. This is not the bone strength one. I don't have one of these here, I don't think. But this is the deal with this. Healthy Cell just launched a new product. It's called Bone Strength, and it's very interesting for people like me. It is a gel supplement that has calcium, of course, but also several other vitamins and minerals that are key to maintaining strong bones, including vitamin D, vitamin K2, magnesium, zinc, and more, all in one gel pack. So literally slurp it in. It's delicious formulas. And because it's a microgel, it's not something that your gut has to struggle to digest. It's more absorbed into the bloodstream. And the whole point is to get into the bloodstream and reach the cells that need to be made more healthy. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. So again, it replaces 12 pills worth of supplements, has a delicious tropical flavor. It's so much better than the chalky gummies that are out there. It's like Bone Strength. It's the newest offering from Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. 20% off. I take the Focus and Recall. All right, this one. I know I've talked to you guys about it. If you're new to the program, this is what I take. I had told Bobby and Chris before they took the SAT the most recent time. They had both said that there were some distractions in the room and they felt like they weren't completely focused on what they were working on. They felt distracted. So I said, well, would you want to try a Healthy Cell Focus and Recall? Take it about half hour, 45 minutes before your test. And both of them were like, okay, I'll give that a go. And both of them came home and felt as though they were able to carve out the other noise and zone in on the task at hand. That's what I feel. That's what I take Healthy Cells Focus and Recall for every day. And then the REM sleep at night is just masterful. And there are great deals on there, 20% off. Get the bundle, get more than one. Like, trust me when I tell you, you're going to love it. Okay. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. I love that we were getting notices from people whose family members were going through chemotherapy or were emerging from chemotherapy and were taking the hair, skin, and nails formula. And they're like, my hair is shiny and it's thicker than it ever was. Like, this wasn't my hair before, but it is my hair now. And I'm like, that's awesome. Hair, skin, and nails. It's a beautiful one. I had to go to the bathroom.
Also, people who say APAC, and this is the same with Thomas Massey making comments like that.
I don't wade into that.
They bought a seat, this guy. Okay. Well, who was Thomas Massey funded by? Because he never needed this type of money to run a race.
Right.
So, you want to dive? Let's dive in. I don't know, but it makes you wonder who. I quit my subscription to Tucker Carlson, but it makes you wonder, when you're not self-funded. Tucker Carlson, I thought, was self-funded. Apparently, he wasn't. So, if you're not willing to
Who was funding him?
There's rumors that it was people from Qatar, some.
I was going to say the Palestinians.
Big money, but if that's the case, now I have to question you. If you're not willing to put, Tucker Carlson had plenty of money. He could have started his own thing.
Right.
Why aren't you willing to put your own money up?
Right. This chair is driving me bananas.
I mean, I dropped $4 into this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. They always say that difficult times show a person's character. It's not when everything is going swimmingly, when all the pieces of your life's puzzle are falling into place, that we show our true selves. It's when you go through a tough time. It's when you're faced with some dark cloud. When you know what's coming is about to get brutal. And you have to batten it down and you have to prepare. Who are you in that storm? What part of you emerges? What do you show of yourself? It's very disappointing for Thomas Massey to swing low, to be beaten in this primary resoundingly, and to take a swing at his opponent as somehow being someone who's in bed with Israel. How about the people of the country voted and they didn't want my brand anymore? And I wish, classy. I wish the president the best, and whomever wins, I hope we can all get behind whomever the conservative opponent is. That's classy. That's how you don't burn bridges. That's how you show your character. When you want to say, gosh, I wish I could throat punch somebody and throw them down the stairs. But the people spoke. To go out sour grapes is such a bad look. And it's a really bad look on a grown man. Isn't it? Bill Cassidy, sour grape senator. This is what rhinos do. He turned on Trump and he reversed his vote on the Iran resolution, putting his finger in the eye of the president, being like, oh yeah, I'm not done yet, you big jerk. Watch me. And it's like, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene being a turd, you can leave the party. You can do what you want to do or leave Congress. But to wait until the specific date to ensure that you have your full pension, you show your true colors to people. Rand Paul, appreciate Rand Paul and what he's done with Dr. Death, right? Senator Paul, you did not know what you were talking about. Well, he actually did. And he served great points and great purposes. But when the president needs you most, Rand Paul, where are you? You're a never Trumper. Everybody sees this. And what the Make America Great Again crowd is doing, and I hate to be reduced to an acronym, but if there had to be one, it's a pretty great one. Do you believe in making America great again? What's your answer to that question? Because if you're a Democrat, the answer has to be no. Really? When it comes down to it, MAGA Republicans, we just want to get stuff done. Period. I'm so tired of twisting in the wind. I'm so tired of waiting for the president's agenda to be executed by the Senate. I'm so tired of John Thune standing up pretending that's not the way it's ever been done. You know what? Times are a-changing, baby. We're tired. I'm tired of watching you roll in and work 80 days a year. Well, we do a lot more behind the scenes. Nothing we can tell. What do you do, John? Well, I want to read this because Senator Cassidy turns on President Trump and he reverses his vote. I'm going to read you part of an article from Breitbart, obviously conservative leaning, and then I'm going to give you the other side because it's intriguing how this is portrayed to the American people. Certainly, it's up to you how you choose to read into this. Here's Breitbart's take. Senator Bill Cassidy was among the 4 Republican senators who voted in favor of moving forward with a resolution that would direct President Donald Trump to pull the U.S. military out of the conflict with Iran. Look at these people. Who the hell are you? Cassidy's vote in favor of moving forward with the Iran War Powers Resolution comes days after he lost his re-election bid to Trump-endorsed Representative Julia Letlow and Louisiana Treasurer John Fleming. He was fleeced. He was beaten. He was trounced like freaking Massey. He was assaulted at the polls like Brad Raffensperger, right? But this is what happened. The Senate voted 50-47 to move the War Powers Resolution out from the Senate's Foreign Relations Committee with Senators Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Rand Paul, and there's Cassidy voting with the Democrats, CBS News reported. Guess who was the one Democrat? Anybody? Brock, can you figure it out? Who was the one Democrat in the
John
House?
Fetterman.
In the Senate, it was John Fetterman. John Fetterman's like, hell no. I want the president to finish the job. Finish the job. Cassidy's vote in favor of moving forward with the resolution represented the first time he has supported advancing a war powers resolution, according to CBS News. According to the outlet, the resolution would direct the president to remove the United States armed forces from hostilities within or against Iran. Really? Do you think that's great, Bill? You feckless hack? Well, here's how CBS tells the story. Senate advances resolution to limit Trump's Iran war powers for the first time after 4 Republicans defect. Are you really Republicans? Do you guys think that this president went into Iran because he wanted it for giggles? He wanted to go seize their oil? Or did he go into Iran because he wanted the Iranian people to have a fighting chance at freedom? Because Iran, for the last 50 years at a minimum, has terrorized the world, has killed more than 1,000 Americans. Do you think for one fraction of a second that if they had enriched their uranium to the degree that was necessary to make a nuclear warhead, that they wouldn't first take out Israel and then train the sights on the United States? Does Bill Cassidy think his punching down and being like, yeah, with something this significant is a game? Because I don't think the lunatics who run Iran, the clerics, the wackadoodles who don't care about their people, who shoot and kill on the street on sight, who don't believe in rights for the people, right? Bill Cassidy is giving them power in his effect, punching down on this president. The Senate advanced a resolution to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran on Tuesday, marking a breakthrough for Democrats after 7 failed attempts. Look, at some point, your love of country supersedes your political ambition. That's who I want in Congress. That's who I want representing me. That's why I like John Fetterman. I don't agree with John Fetterman on the majority of the stuff that he finds important. But when it comes to country versus party, there is no choice. It's always America first. Senators approved a motion to discharge the resolution from committee. 50-47 vote. Blah, blah, blah. John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, the sole Democrat to oppose. The vote marked the first time Cassidy supported advancing a war powers resolution, came days after he failed to win enough support to advance to a runoff. And he's pissed. And so he's like, oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to foil your plans to finish the job in Iran. I think we should be able to wave a magic wand and be like, you're not in charge. We are. Bring the troops back. So what happens to Iran? They can't get their oil out. What happens to the people of Iran? They don't have weapons. They can't defend themselves. There is no economy. It's not like they're growing anything. The place has been obliterated. Oh, to what end? See, that to me is disqualifying and underscores why Bill Cassidy was voted out. Not by the president. He's just one man with one vote. But by the people who've been paying attention. Look, I talk about this conservative review Liberty Score thing. We used it for years before they stopped updating the votes of the members of Congress and the Senate. But what we did is we followed every major vote, from women in the military to guns to all of the various spending bills during COVID, $4 trillion worth. We watched all of that. And we voted accordingly, Bill. So as much as the Democrat Party and those who find themselves on the other side of MAGA, we want you to believe that it's this president and his ego. He expects everybody to do exactly what he wants. No, see, this is a culmination of us being tired of being tired. And so we say, good riddance. Period. Bill Cassidy. More worried about Bill Cassidy than about America or about the people of Iran. In one vote. Told you that. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about John Cornyn. Let's talk about this cat being next. With John Thune, Lisa Murkowski, and Rand Paul, 2028, a couple years away. Who's going to challenge these people? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
You know, I have a problem too. Guess who else? And not voting is like a no vote. Is John Cornyn. Tell me he's not a petty.
100%.
Tom Tillis, petty.
Very petty.
You know,
it's conduct.
The only one
unbecoming.
is Tommy Tuberville, who supports Trump 100%, which he probably went, these two aren't voting. We're not going to win. But
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
So the vote was 50-47.
Correct. Oh, you're still talking about this war powers
Yes,
thing.
I'm sorry. The war powers vote was 50-47. If John Cornyn votes, Tom Tillis votes, and Tommy Tuberville votes, it's 50-50.
Yeah. There are people who do make their points by not showing up.
Why aren't you voting?
Why aren't you voting?
If this is such an important thing, why
Where's
aren't you
John
voting?
Thune? That's your job, John.
Well, Cornyn doesn't get the endorsement. So what's he do? I just won't vote.
I just won't vote. I'm going to sit out.
This is him telling the voters, fungu.
Yep. Amen. Okay, collagen peptides. Probably the least expensive thing you can take that is so effective after a period of time And they say it could be as much as, what, 4 months? 3-4 months? You'll begin to really see the effects of taking collagen peptides. I have been taking them, and this is now, I'm down to this, right? So this is what I've been taking from this company called Native Path. Really lovely company. They have a lot of different things on their website. I've had many of their products. Native Hydrate. Remember Native Hydrate? We did that for a while. MCT Wellness came along, and I kind of fell in love with that stuff. But when I started getting into the research on collagen and why it's super effective over the age of 50, for men and women, for cartilage, for skin, for your hair, for your bones, for your gut, it makes sense to supplement with 100% collagen peptides. I take 10 grams, dissolves in the bottle with Dr. Gundry's drink. And I've been doing this every single day. And I will tell you, you do begin to see a difference. I have seen the weird rippling on my skin smooth out a little bit. Some people claim it does wonders for wrinkles. I'm not really necessarily worried about that yet, but
Come.
it's coming. Collagen peptides from getnativepath.com/Wendy. Up to 45% off, which is pretty remarkable. In fact, like, did I already do this yesterday? No, I did it with the other products. Getnativepath.com/Wendy. 7 reasons why everyone over 50 should be taking collagen peptides. Literally, it shows you right there all of the benefits. Why do you want to do it? Then you make up your mind. But we are going to unlock a pretty sweet discount. Let's see. I got to get to the bottom and get to the thing. They do have a lot of try it risk-free. Okay. Save up to 45%. All right. Claim now. Free shipping. So you can buy 1 jar for $31. Buy now, 18% off. So I'm buying it. Yep, $31. Shipping is free. If you're serious and you want to do more, you could buy 3 jars, 3 of these, for $27 each. So you'll save $4 a jar.
$4.
Free, $4. But literally, I would say this probably will last you 2 months. 2 months, $31, 50 cents a day. Getnativepath.com/Wendy. I mean, some things are just sacrilegious. And so that's what happened. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. TheHill.com with the liberal headline that tells you everything today. Senate GOP expresses frustration, anger, sadness as Trump snubs Cornyn in Texas. Really? Who exactly? Because stories such as this certainly illustrate to us people who are rhinos. If you're angry that President Trump didn't support your dude, then you're not understanding what this whole Make America Great Again thing is. And therefore, we probably should be evaluating you and whether or not we need your services anymore. That's easy, isn't it? Isn't this great? They're showing you everything you need to know. President Trump's decision Tuesday to snub Senator John Cornyn and endorse State Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Texas Senate Republican primary was met with frustration, anger, and even sadness by Senate Republicans. Who? All the old fossils? The people who have D and F Liberty scores? The people who do not vote according to the wishes of the Make America Great Again movement, which has taken control of the Republican Party? You mean that? The move likely sinks Cornyn's hopes of winning another Senate term, and Republicans warned it could make it tougher to defeat Democrat candidate James Tallarico in November. I don't think so. President Trump just said, he says, we just listened to him. He's wherever he's outside he's doing the Coast Guard commencement speech, right? And I guess he's on his way there, and reporters on the tarmac as he's flying in on Marine One. They're like, what do you think about corner. What do you think about Ken Paxton? He's like, I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win mightily. That's huge, right? Because I think Trump is a time traveler, and so he's telling you. You can disagree with that. That's fine, right? But this is what Ken Paxton had to say. And these are some of the headlines because they're freaking out. CNN, they're super upset that Trump endorsed Paxton. CNN's headline, how Ken Paxton courted Donald Trump and won his endorsement. Oh, here's the BBC. Trump endorses Paxton in Texas, gambling on a challenger with baggage in a crucial race. Really? Baggage? How much baggage could Ken Paxton have vis-a-vis Democrats who believe in chopping off male body parts, stitching on other parts to pretend that you're a girl and not a boy, or vice versa? Really? Politico. Senate Republicans angry and alarmed over Trump's Paxton endorsement. Who are the people who are upset? It's all the rhinos. Lisa Murkowski is quoted, of course. Rand Paul is quoted, of course. Right? Susan Collins quoted, of course. Ken Paxton was on with Will Cain yesterday. And Will's like, hey, did you talk to the president? And Ken's like, yeah, I have. And, this is why he said he was endorsing me. And it's a great honor. Here's Ken Paxton.
I think he's the most significant endorsement in at least my lifetime. If you get his endorsement, it's better than it's the gold standard. And so, people have a lot of respect for that, especially in the Republican primary.
Did you speak to the president today?
I sure did. Yeah, he called me this morning. He said he didn't say exactly what was going to happen. He just said, I think you're going to like what I'm doing today.
I bet that was that a short conversation? Was it a longer conversation?
No, we talked about it.
Did he tell you why?
Yeah, he suggested that he thought I was the best candidate. I don't want to get into the details about everything he said because it's a private conversation. But yeah, he thinks I'm the best candidate and that I will actually help him get some of these things done, like the Save America Act, which I have been promoting since they first passed it in the U.S. House. So it's something that I've been disappointed in that the Senate hasn't gotten done, that John Cornyn has not been successful. And, I even challenged him right after the primary. I said, look, he hasn't accomplished anything in 42 years of anything good. No one's been able to tell me what that is over the last 14 months. I'll give him a chance. Maybe he can get this one really important thing done, and I'll consider dropping out. And sure enough, he couldn't get that done.
Imagine Republicans who are not moving on the Save America Act. These are people who are uniparty, deep state swamp creatures who need to cheat to stay in power. And we're getting rid of them. Senator Susan Collins, according to The Hill, says she just couldn't understand Trump's thinking, given that Paxton was charged with felony securities fraud and faced a lengthy prison sentence that he managed to avoid by reaching a deal with prosecutors to pay nearly $300,000 in restitution and complete 100 hours of community service. I don't understand, said Susan Collins. He's ethically challenged. The charges were later dropped in that defrauding investors in some Dallas area tech startup mumbo jumbo. The president knows the knives were out for Ken Paxton because he would be an actual MAGA Republican. He would do and execute this president's agenda. And so the knives were out for him. You think President Trump didn't acknowledge that and see that? If this guy was toxic in any way, do you think this president was put his brand anywhere near him? Of course not. And think about this. You know who we're not going to have in Congress next year? No Jasmine Crockett, Al Green, Dan Crenshaw, Eric Swalwell, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Don Bacon, Jerry Nadler, Tom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, or Thomas Massey. It's a course correction. We'll be right back right after this on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I think it's also interesting that they talk about this James Tallarico, right? The Hill and all the liberal outlets who say, oh, Paxton can't win. They act like Paxton hasn't won statewide.
He's been resoundingly supported. He cheated on his wife. He lied about a construction project at his house. He did this. It's like everything they did. It's like bringing out E. Jean Carroll and dusting her off from the shadows and having her tell this story, right? So, I mean...
You going to the bathroom?
I am going to go to the bathroom. Thank you for reminding me.
So outside, they just saw on Twitter that Trump, Jane, what's her name? Hold on a second. Jackie Heinrich from Fox asked him a question, and he turns to her and says, "Well, your husband votes against me all the time. How do you think that's going to work out?" You have to love Trump. Just for the off the cuff, I sent Wendy a text this morning. It was about he had endorsed Spencer Pratt, and I think she talked about it. But he says if we had Jesus come down and count the votes, I would have won California. You just have to love the brutal honesty of Trump. I appreciate. There's no canned answer from Donald Trump. There's no, you don't know what you're going to get. It's why his press conferences are interesting. You know, the saying to Mark Cuban, he made a mistake. I love, you know, you say what you want about his character. I really, what politician do you vote for because they live the perfect one? No one's life is perfect, and two, like, who am I to judge him? I don't know what his life is. What are your policies? That's it. But him saying to Jackie Heinrich, your husband votes against me all the time. Let's see how that works out for him. It's just gold.
I want to talk to you guys about Texas Bullion Exchange, wendylovesgold.com. You know, companies can get very comfortable not reinventing themselves or reinvesting into what made them successful. And if you're successful and you're not constantly thinking outside of the box or coming up with new things that you could do for people, you become really stale. And then other businesses pop up that do the same thing that you do, and you're now indistinguishable from them. This is one of the things I like about Texas Bullion Exchange, because precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, I don't have knowledge of these things. I don't monitor these things. I'm not watching and tracking the cost, value, prices, or what have you. But I do know that historically, gold has been a phenomenal investment. The value has gone up something like 7,000% since we left the gold standard in 1971. It's that amazing. Silver has just been fantastic too. The thing I like about wendylovesgold.com, 855-927-5557. It's this. It's this. And they're dropping a new product soon that I think you're really going to like. But they talk to you. They want to hear you. They want to know what you want to accomplish, what your questions are. They don't have some shot sheet of, okay, well, this person's going to need this. And they want to hear you. It's like Health Revolution with health insurance. What do you need? What do you want? Let's make that happen. That's what Texas Bullion Exchange does. And so they listened to me, and I told them a round ballpark number that I was interested in getting involved in precious metals investing with. And they're like, great. All right, how do you want to do this? And they talked about the boys. What are their birth years? What's important to you? And they chose these beautiful coins. I mean, it's almost like being a collector. If you get the precious hard metal in your hand, there's nothing like it. It's kind of addictive, I will say. It's like tattoos. Once you get one, you have to have 1 million of them. I can just tell you that I wanted 1 million of them. I got one and had it taken off, but I wanted 1 million more.
I wanted more.
Yeah, I know. It's like happens. It's like riding a Harley Davidson. You're like, I want to do that again. I want 5 of them. That's gold. That's wendylovesgold.com. And they're just good people, good honest people. And they want a relationship with you for the long haul. That's what I think is different. It's not just a sale. They want to be part of your future. wendylovesgold.com. 855-927-5557.
I took a shot with the weed whacker yesterday.
Oh, did you? Well, you were wearing shorts?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, I did one. I have a hole. I had a rock and
Did
it
you?
left a hole in my leg. Yeah. It's yeah, you got to wear jeans or something or else.
It was too hot.
It was too hot. I'm totally with you on that one. All right. Let's see how you guys are doing. Do we have 7,000? We don't even have 2,000 rumbles. All right, we're going to take comments. I want to comment. I want you guys to tell me.
Make it quick.
What will it take for me to get the rumbles from you? Honestly, what do you want? I'm here to negotiate.
Wow.
I'm here to be your girl.
You can rate in her.
His presidential flag in the sand yesterday inside the White House press briefing room. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I think Marco Rubio has been an amazing leader. I think he's been a terrific Secretary of State. He's been a phenomenal statesman. His knowledge and being bilingual, I think, is fantastic. It's so helpful. But his fluidity, his ability to take questions about complicated subjects and to not take the bait, but to very calmly and conversationally speak to reporters or foreign businesses or foreign leaders in a very common sense way. It's nice. It's refreshing. I've been hungry for this, right? And so there's this big debate. JD, Marco Rubio, who's going to be the next presidential candidate? One would imagine it would be the next person in line. It's always predictably the vice president. Some people have trepidation. I hear things out there from like Nick Fuentes and influencers from Gen Z who quite frankly have never had a job and live in their parents' basement, who like to say things about the vice president. What I see, I can't tell you if this guy is anything that the left says he is. I can only tell you what I can hear and what I observe. And what I observe is a self-made man who made it out of a difficult life, didn't make excuses, dug in his heels, served this country, is an extraordinary leader, and is a fantastic communicator. And I've got 3 audio sound bites I want to share with you because the Democrat Party does not have a single person who can do this. And we have a starting lineup and a bench that goes out the stadium doors. And it's got a super, super irk the left. So here he is taking questions kind of in Caroline Leavitt's stead while she's on maternity leave. And just like Marco Rubio did a couple weeks ago. This is J.D. Vance's swing in it, but it begins, we're going to have this one question of J.D. Vance comes from an ABC News reporter who, this is Jonathan Karl, okay? And he tries to do a gotcha question of the vice president about January 6ers and this weaponization fund that Jonathan Karl is calling this dedicated $1.776 billion fund that President Trump was going to create in lieu of suing the IRS $10 billion for leaking his tax returns in advance of the 2020 election, right? He's like, I'll drop the lawsuit. However, this is what I want. I want people who were victims of the weaponization of the DOJ under Joe Biden. I want them to recoup some of their expenses. I want them to get some of their finances back because these people were broken and bankrupted by a cruel, vicious administration. Jonathan Karl with the question, J.D. Vance with the flippin' home run.
I want to ask you about that $1.8 billion fund set up, weaponization fund as it's being called. Why should taxpayers be paying to settle a $10 billion lawsuit that was brought by the President of the United States? And should people that attacked the Capitol building and assaulted police officers, should they be eligible? Should they receive money? Should they receive money from it?
Well, let me say a couple things about that. First, John, I think in some ways the media has misrepresented what this is actually about. This is about compensating Americans for the lawfare that we saw under the last administration. And by the way, anybody can apply for it. Republicans can apply for it. Democrats can apply for it. As you know, the President of the United States has pardoned a number of Democrats who he felt were actually subject to this lawfare. I mean, if Hunter Biden wants to apply for this particular fund, he is welcome to. It's going to go through a normal process where we vet everything, where we try to identify whether people's claims are actually legitimate. But here's the question. You say, why should taxpayers fund this? Whenever the United States government incurs legal expenses, it pays out those legal expenses. When it's settling a lawsuit, it pays out money to settle that lawsuit. And the question is a dollar of this money going to the Trump administration? No. Is a dollar of this money going to Donald Trump personally? No. Is a dollar of this money going to Donald Trump's family? No. The people that would get the money are people, some of whom have been prosecuted completely disproportionate to any crime they've ever committed. Like, let's just take a couple of examples. Tina Peters is this woman who is about to get out of prison, thanks in large part to the president's good work in Colorado. This is a woman who, at worst, if you believe everything that the prosecutors said about her, committed misdemeanor trespassing, and somebody threw the book at her, this innocent grandmother was going to spend 10 years in prison, completely disproportionate to any misdemeanor trespassing that I've ever seen. Was that fair? No. Is it reasonable for her to get some compensation for the fact that she was treated unfairly? I think the answer is yes, and I think that what we're going to see, hopefully, is the entire country, led by this Department of Justice, turning the page on the lawfare. What I would like to propose, and I think the Democrats, hopefully they're willing to meet us halfway here. I won't hold my breath. But what I would propose is something very simple, that if you are willing to turn the page on Joe Biden's lawfare, why don't we prosecute people? Very simple principle. Why don't we prosecute people who violate the law? Let's not prosecute people because they said the wrong thing or because they had the wrong political candidate or because they had the wrong viewpoint. And I think part of turning the page on that is to actually ensure the real victims of that lawfare receive some compensation. That's what this fund is going to be targeted at. And again, there's going to be a process to ensure that that money is only given to people who have actually, I hate to say earned it, but the people who actually were really mistreated by the previous administration and Department of Justice.
Masterclass. No, no stammering, no attitude, no ego, no punch down. And he had every opportunity to. Oh, John Carl, you're really going to still believe the January 6th narrative, which was really a smokescreen to cover up a stolen election? Come on, John. He could have. He didn't. He used the opportunity to educate. How do you as a leftist look at that, listen to that, and find fault with that? What does that sound unreasonable to you? Sounds reasonable. We want to compensate Republicans and Democrats who've been victims of weaponization by the prior administration because it's been sickening and it's egregious. We'd like to make some people well again, whole again, period. He continues with this question. He shuts down resting man face Caitlin Collins over on CNN, and he busts her wrap-up smear attempt to merchandise this idea that President Trump, a billionaire president, doesn't give a rat's rear end about how the war in Iran is affecting the average American's finances. He doesn't take the bait. In fact, he completely rewires Caitlin Clark. Listen.
But just to follow up on the war, you last week denied that the president said he was not taking Americans' financial situations into consideration when he's making decisions on the Iran war. He was asked about that again. He stood by it, called it a perfect statement, and said he would make it again. Do you believe that Americans' financial situations should be taken into consideration when you're making decisions as an administration about the war?
See, Caitlin, what you did is you misrepresented the question that I was asked, and then you misrepresented the answer that I gave. What I said is that a question that was asked where the president allegedly said that he didn't care about Americans' financial situations. He never said that. What he said is that it was totally taken out of context. What he said is that when he is negotiating with the Iranians, he's focused on the national security objectives that he's trying to achieve. Of course, the president has a mandate to be focused on a number of things. And I guarantee you every single day, I have conversations with him about it. Every single day, he's worried about his fellow Americans. He wants them to be prosperous. He wants them to thrive. He wants them to have good jobs. That's why we've done the things and taken the steps that we've taken in order to create record job growth, in order to create record wage growth, in order to induce trillions of dollars of new investment into our country. That's because he cares about that stuff. What he also said is that when he's talking to the Iranians, he's talking to the Iranians about questions, of course, of national security, like their nuclear program. You could hold two thoughts in your head at the same time, that the president cares about financial security for Americans, but also when he's negotiating with the Iranians, he's talking about the issues that are germane to the concerns of that particular conflict.
It's a very classy way of putting his thumb in her eye. Don't try to merchandise your wrap-up smear of some fake allegation of Trump saying something he didn't. I'm not going to give your allegations oxygen. This was the question. We're going to hit this one before the break. This was the question at the Turning Point USA event in Oxford, Mississippi last weekend, or earlier this week, where a woman gets up and asks about President Trump squeezing out Thomas Massie from the party. It's an interesting give and go. Here we go.
Endorsed a candidate to run against Republican Representative Thomas Massie, who's opposed and criticized some of the Trump administration's aims. How would you address those who fear that principled disagreement or independent thinking is discouraged within the party because of how it can be framed as a betrayal instead of as internal accountability or an opportunity for debate and negotiation?
So it's a very good question. And let me say this one is hard for me. And the reason it's hard for me is because Thomas Massie and he's one of the first people that ever reached out to me about my book or about political office. I've known Thomas Massie well before I ever got involved in politics. Thomas's wife died maybe it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It was a little while ago. She died very unexpectedly, was a very sweet and kind woman. And I was probably one of the first people that called Thomas to offer my condolences. I think the problem with Thomas, and I've told him this in private, and now I guess I'll say it in public, is it's one thing to disagree with the party on a particular issue. It's one thing to have your independent stand on a number of questions. And by the way, some of the stuff where Thomas Massie has been independent against the Republican Party, I've agreed with him with. Thomas and I worked together during 2023, where I was trying to stop the limitless flow of American money to Ukraine, and Thomas was one of the people I was working closest with it. But that's one thing. Being independent, having your own opinions is one thing. Voting against the party on every single issue, you're eventually going to make too many enemies. And that is the problem that Thomas has had. It's not one issue. It's not 3 or 4 issues. It's that every time that we've needed Thomas for a vote, he has been completely unwilling to provide it. That is why the President of the United States has trained his ire on Thomas Massie. It's because we can never count on him for some of the most difficult votes. I wish that weren't the case. I say that as somebody who's known Thomas well before I got into politics, but politics is politics, and when you always vote against the party, you can't expect the party to actually back you.
Isn't that a worthwhile historical answer to the woman who had a good question? It sounds like you were expecting complete everybody should fall in line with whatever this administration wants. You don't allow outside opinions in this party. And he's like, that's not the case. That's absolutely not the case. But to be obstructionist, to be obstreperous, to be a thorn in the side and giggle about it in the shadows, and to be championed by the media as being a hero, that's a bridge too far. It is conduct unbecoming conservatives. I think J.D. Vance knocked that one out of the park. What a problem we have. Whom to choose? Democrats are like, seriously? Kamala? Again? Alan Dershowitz explains why what he believes is the most toxic part of the liberal party. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. What I wanted to say was he saying? He says the worst people out there. He literally is like the worst people. The most unethical people he has ever encountered in his life. So
He's an attorney.
Right? What did you guys think about J.D. Vance's answers there? I thought he was extraordinarily conversational, very easy, right? And I think he explains, look, we actually are for everyone to do well. Democrats are about crushing the spirit. We will break them. Republicans are like, well, good low taxes are good for me and my liberal neighbor. That's good for everybody. Let's do that. A closed border is good for me, but it's good for my Democrat neighbor. Right? It's not complicated. And tulip blooms is not complicated either at all. And the number of people have been reaching out to me. So I want you to try this. If you do take my advice and you decide to give it a go, tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. I've always taken very good care of my skin. I grew up in Southern California. I have a specific complexion that gets very, very dark in the sun. My mom was careful with me because I very rarely burned, but she told me as a little girl, you have to take very good care of your face. Got to take very good care of your skin. So I always washed it. If I never go to sleep with makeup on, I'm very cognizant of what I do. I moisturize. Starting to put the calming blue serum on my face at night has been a game changer. I wake up and my skin is glowing. Even after I get out of the shower, my skin is still soft and feels wonderful. The products like this velour massaging oil that I take a squirt of, you put this on, I'm telling you, you go to the bathroom a couple times during the course of your day and wash your hands. This has permeated down through the dermis into your skin cells, and it fluffs them up, plumps them up, smooths them out. The smell, the fragrances are all extraordinarily benign. It's like you're at a high quality spa. It reminds me of what it smells like at Bedford Springs when Joe and I go to golf. There's a beautiful spa there, and there's a scent that kind of lingers throughout the place. It reminds me of that. And it feels like you've treated yourself to a 5-star hotel spa treatment. Just this one massaging oil, just this one velour massaging oil. This is one product that they make. If you have not treated yourself, buy something. Get the 10% off using my name. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. That's going to unlock a 10% discount. I think the products are phenomenal. And men, by the way, like having soft, beautiful skin too. And even if you're hairy, these things absorb into your skin. And I'm just going to tell you, it's special. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. I can't wait for my fragrance. We're going to talk about that. All right, let's see where we are, guys. 4,700 watching. Hi. I'm so
finally
good.
got over 2K.
Oh, we did. Yes. I'm super excited you're here. We're at 450 here on X. If you're watching on Twitter, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. You can also open up a Rumble account and you can register your vote every single day for us. We're at 2.15 Rumbles.
I'm a little upset.
Why is that?
Not a lot of Brock needs raises in the comment.
Oh. Did you expect that?
You know,
Oh, before. Oh, we don't have time. I'll do it at the top
maybe
of the
they could have thrown me a bone.
Oh, jeez.
Just saying.
You know, Ellen Dershowitz has been an interesting case study. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, he's a lifelong Democrat. He's almost 90 years old. Dude has been a Democrat his whole life. And he's walked away. He didn't just walk away. He said he will do anything. He will pay for opponents of Democrats so that they can no longer have power in Congress. He sees it as an existential threat, if you will, to the future of this great country. And as an attorney who has such a storied past, it's interesting when he talks about the New York Times, right? I started paying attention to Alan Dershowitz in the off season when Joe Biden was allegedly in charge. And Donald Trump, no, maybe it was during one of his impeachments. It was one of his impeachments. He needed Alan Dershowitz's help as his defense. And Dershowitz was like, I didn't vote for the president. I'm not a Republican, right? But I saw what was being done to him was wrong. And I decided to take the case. Because right is right, north is still north, even if you stand by yourself, even if you walk away from that allegiance to your party, if there's something bigger, country bigger than party. Alan Dershowitz was on a website or a podcast, and he said something very interesting. He reveals the most unethical group of people he says he has ever encountered in his life. And it is this group of people that has likely nudged him farther away from the Democratic Party than he ever has been in his 87 years. Listen.
I have to tell you, I've lived a long life. I'm 87 years old. I've dealt with many professionals, psychiatrists, doctors, you name it. The most unethical group of people I had ever worked with in my life have been journalists. Journalists, the most unethical, starting with the New Yorker, 60 Minutes, the New York Times. The most unethical group of people I have ever encountered have been journalists. And the reason they're so bad is they come with a purported journalistic integrity. And the actual integrity is so much lower than the perceived integrity that the barrier is greatest. And that's why I believe journalists as a whole are the most unethical group of professionals that in my long professional association, I've been doing this for over 65 years. The journalists have been the worst, and the New York Times has been among the worst because it has such a good reputation and so bad in reality.
He speaks of integrity. Integrity isn't something that comes and goes. It doesn't show up on a Tuesday when it's sunny out. It doesn't show up when there's an election that's important. It's baked into who you are. And it grows when nobody else is around. Your integrity, when you die, it's what you have left. It's who you are. It is your legacy, that integrity. Alan Dershowitz is asked further about what happened. What happened to the Democrat Party? Because you're actively campaigning against Democrats ever regaining control of the levers of power. In your mind, Professor, what happened to them?
What changed in the Democratic Party? How did they get to this point?
Well, they became very radical. They became a party of students and faculty members. Remember, who led the Nazis in 1932? The students at various universities in Berlin and Munich. Who led the communists under Stalin? University students. Who led Castro? University students, Pol Pot. So I think that the Democratic Party has become the party of radical students, and American universities are becoming propaganda mills, and the Democratic Party is becoming a radical left-wing party which veers on anti-Americanism. You watch CNN and you see the joy that their commentators get in saying, America's losing to Iran, America's in a recession. They get such joy out of demeaning America. That's CNN, that's the New York Times. And I'm not on that side of the political spectrum. I'm on the side of a strong America, an America who stands up for its allies, and that's now the Republican Party.
Wow. I mean, it's not debatable to me. I listen to that and I'm like, right on. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. This is the Fetterman effect. What is bigger than you? This whole thing that we're doing is bigger than each individual one of us. I don't think that I'm more important than what I'm trying to convey. I want what is best for all. And what is best for all, the professor emeritus from Harvard, Alan Dershowitz, agrees, is walking away from the Democratic Party. Period. Right? When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program up next, right? Making elections believable again. Todd Blanche said there's a ton of evidence that 2020 was stolen. I've got some of it for you, and you're going to want to hear it next. Everybody has their own... They have their own moment where they see the light, right? I was never an extraordinarily political person. I was conservative, but my job on the television networks that I worked at involved me separating my personal beliefs from the job that I was doing. I had to tell you what was happening. So when Barack Obama won, I was on the air that night, as the news director and the assistant news director are running, hooting and hollering, going, woohoo! This is an ABC local affiliate newsroom. And there are strict non-spoken rules about partisanship. You keep it to yourself. You are supposed to be objective. With the number one and number two in charge celebrating that was a big wake-up call to me. It was a big wake-up call. I did not express my views until I was sitting in front of a live microphone at the first radio station, where I was basically brought in to fill in for a guy who was going through cancer treatment on his throat. So he needed a voice. And so they're like, well, Wendy, she's known in Pittsburgh. Maybe she'll do it. And then I did, and then it just all started coming out. And it was like, bleh! And I was like, what was that? And I kind of went with it. I couldn't fake it. Right? They didn't tell me I had to be one way or another. I couldn't have been the other way. And it started gaining traction. And then people started paying attention to us. And the rest is history. Right? What Alan Dershowitz says is 100% spot on. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And the media are just, they're contemptible. I want to tell you about bloodflow7.com, and I'm super excited about everything that they have. And when we did a price check yesterday for you, I have never come across something that has made me feel virtually indestructible, that has made me feel that there is nothing physical that I can't attempt, that I would be unwilling to try to do. I'm 56. I'm not some like strong person, but I feel like I am. And it's improving. I'm improving in the gym because of my Blood Flow 7. This right here, nitric oxide. That's what this supplement is. So you take 2 of these capsules a day and you notice things, benign things. Walking up the stairs, carrying a basket of laundry. Normally you might have a heart rate that's a little bit faster, might be a little, not anymore. Say you walk your dog in the neighborhood. Well, that hill is a little steep. I don't like that one. It's kind of tricky for me. Try it. Try it. Because you'll be able to do it. And you'll be like, dang. Anything that involves labor, whether it's raking pine needles, bending over, stuff around the house, things where you're normally like, I just got to put my feet up for a minute. Let me get a cup of coffee because I'm about to crash. Doesn't happen. Because when the blood flows, everything's in sync. Your brain, your gut, everything. And you notice it. I will not go a day without it. It's my number one go-to. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off. What did we say this was? $23 a day?
Something like
or $23 a month? Something like that. It's the best money you will spend today. Give it a month. Take a whole jar and then talk to me. There's a month's supply in there, so it's great. 2 capsules. Easy peasy. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Oh, I was going to tell you guys about Sniper. So yesterday was our recycling day. So we have these 2, we have big blue bins. Everybody has them. They are rank. They are disgusting. And so Joe got home early yesterday. It was his half day. And so he got home at 5. So he sprayed out. But he came to me and he's like, what do you use? What? And he had Sniper and he had Knockout in the gallon jugs. He's like, what's Knockout? I'm like, that's deodorizer. I'm like, I think you want that instead. I think you want Sniper. So he sprayed it all out. He went sloshed Sniper all around it, kind of like, swished it around, let it percolate for a little while, let it roast in the sun for a little bit, and then dumped it out, hosed everything out. You can smell nothing and it looks pristine. He's like, that stuff really works. I'm like,
Wonder why he hosed it out.
Well, he used it as like to rinse it, and then he wanted to hose that out, put it in. But yeah, we could have sprayed Knockout in it. Could have sprayed more in it. I used it today because Jack made mussels last night for us, and the shells get funky in a hurry. And so I was taking him out to the garbage, and you could smell them in the kitchen still. And I was like, ugh.
I'm using it when I go home.
So before I put in the new garbage can, I put in my Knockout, sprayed it around. Disinfect with Sniper.com. Everything on there, I'm pretty sure I personally use. I use the organic stuff. I don't have a flag. I don't have one of their flags. But I have it like everything else. I have their spices. I've got Knockout. I've got all of it. I've got the Harmony. They've got the organic mosquito repellent, right? I love it. Let's go. I don't want to get eaten alive because I will. Disinfectwithsniper.com. It's a special site, and the guy behind it is a peach. And most orders are processed same day out the door, and you get them. Some people are telling me they're getting them the next day. It's like faster than Amazon.
I have to spray down all my equipment when I get home.
All your equipment? What do you mean?
My baseball equipment that was put away 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't spray it down before I put it away. It's going to be pretty rank.
Do you think? Yes.
Well,
you're gross anyway.
What's that?
You're disgusting anyway. So.
Wow. That's hurtful.
No, the spraying of sporting equipment, Knockout. That just
it's opening day.
You want to kill the bacteria, kill the germs, kill the odor. Disinfectwithsniper.com. No joke.
Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not, which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. You know, this hour is packed with a lot of really great information. And if you've got to bounce and you don't come back, get the podcast. Get the Wendy Bell Radio Podcast. It's all you plug in wherever you get Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you go. We are there. And I want you to hear this last hour in particular because it's important. The first half hour, we're going to talk about evidence of election fraud from 2020. In the second half hour, we're going to talk more about the UFO files because you are being primed for something that is imminent. And it's going to get weird. And we need to talk about it. Okay? So that's my pledge to you. We'll have a great conversation about it. Let's start with this. Making elections believable again. Anybody out there who's against the Save America Act, who's against people proving that they are citizens of this country, and by proving that with a photo identification, want to cheat. Anybody who does that wants to cheat. That's it. There's no other reason. Don't say it's racist. Don't say it's exclusionary. Don't say it's antiquated. Don't say it can't be done. The reason why you don't want it to happen, Republicans included, is because you want to cheat. Because you know that in the marketplace of ideas, if every eligible voter in this country is entitled to only one vote, and they all vote according to their thoughts, their ideas, and their ideas about this country, that you will lose. The people who vote against that, push that down, diminish it, demean it, what have you, want to cheat. I just I don't want to be lied to. I'm tired of that. Is there anything more un-American than some blob out there determining who the president is, not you? It's almost like we're reliving the ABC hit series Scandal, because this whole story, the story of Joe Biden's presidency, is the same story of the main actor in that show, a president by the name of President Grant, Fitzgerald Grant in Scandal. Unbeknownst to him, his wife, his chief of staff, and several others, including a Supreme Court justice, collude to steal an election very similarly to the stuff that Tina Peters uncovered with Dominion voting systems in Colorado. It's almost like we already knew the blueprint and we had the playbook, right? This is the same sort of thing. Like, do you guys think Joe Biden was part of the theft of 2020? Do you think he had a clue in the world? They were worried about what that guy was going to say on a good day. They sure couldn't tell him that they had stolen the election. They needed to go to court to silence the Heard tapes, right? Do you really think that Joe Biden had a clue in the world? No. They pulled a scandal. People behind the scenes cheated to steal the election. Todd Blanche, acting attorney general, said it last week. We've got a ton of evidence, told Maria Bartiromo on Sunday. And people were like, what's the ton of evidence? So let's talk about this. This article from the Epoch Times, and I think it's absolutely worthy. In a new study, Heartland analysts, oh wait, I skipped ahead. I'm sorry. I skipped ahead to tunnel. Here's the title. Mail-in ballot fraud study finds Trump almost certainly won in 2020. New study of mail-in ballot fraud challenges the official results of the 2020 presidential election. Here we go. A new study examining the likely impact that fraudulent mail-in ballots had in the 2020 election concludes that the outcome would almost certainly have been different without the massive expansion of voting by mail. The Heartland Institute study tried to gauge the probable impact that fraudulent mail-in ballots cast for both then-candidate Joe Biden and his opponent, President Donald Trump, would have had on the overall 2020 election results. The study was based on data obtained from a Heartland Rasmussen survey that revealed that roughly 1 in 5 mail-in voters admitted to potentially fraudulent actions in the presidential election. Say what? What? Roughly 1 in 5 mail-in voters admitted to potentially fraudulent actions in that election. After the researchers carried out additional analyses of the data, they concluded that mail-in ballot fraud significantly impacted the 2020 presidential election. I know you guys are completely stunned by this news. No, it's the mainstreaming of this. It's getting it out. It's like people talking about aliens and UFOs. The more it gets out, the more people will figure it out, and the more the truth can be the emerging theory. Had the 2020 election been conducted like every national election has been over the past 2 centuries, wherein the vast majority of voters cast ballots in person rather than by mail, Donald Trump would almost have certainly been reelected, the report's authors wrote. Only 43% of 2020 votes were cast by mail. Over, I should say, 43%. Over 43%! It's the highest percentage in U.S. history. Never let a crisis go to waste. Right? Isn't that what Rahm Emanuel said? Nancy Pelosi pounced on that big time during COVID. The new study examined raw data from the December survey. They had this big survey they put out, carried out jointly between Heartland Institute and Rasmussen Reports, which tried to assess the level of fraudulent voting that took place in 2020. The December survey, which President Trump called the biggest story of the year, suggested that roughly 20% of mail-in voters engaged in at least one potentially fraudulent action in the 2020 election, such as voting in a state where they're no longer permanent residents. It's called voter fraud. Yeah, it was pretty prevalent. Where were the guide rails? Oh, well, after COVID, had to take them down, had to allow the fraud, the grift, the cheating, the scams, right? In the new study, Heartland analysts say that after reviewing the raw survey data, subjecting it to additional statistical treatment and more thorough analysis, they now believe that they can conclude that 28.2% of respondents who voted by mail, that's over 1 in 4, committed at least one type of behavior that is, under most circumstances, illegally and so potentially amounts to voter fraud. That means that more than 1 in 4 ballots cast by mail in 2020 were likely cast fraudulently and thus should not have been counted, the researchers wrote. A Heartland Institute research editor and research fellow who was involved in the study explained to the Epoch Times in a telephone interview, that there are narrow exceptions where a surveyed behavior may be legal, like filling out a mail-in ballot on behalf of another voter if that person is blind, illiterate, or disabled and requests assistance. However, the research fellow Jack McFerrin said such cases were within the margin of error and not statistically significant. So what are the implications? In addition to reassessing the likely overall degree of fraudulent mail-in ballots in the 2020 election, Heartland analysts calculated the potential impact that fraudulent mail-in ballots might have produced in the 6 key swing states that President Trump officially lost. This, then, was used to determine the impact of potentially fraudulent mail-in ballots on the overall 2020 election result. First, the researchers analyzed the electoral results for the 6 swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, under the 28.2% fraudulent mail-in ballot scenario that they estimate was based on the raw survey data. Then they calculated the electoral results in the 6 states under the different scenarios, each with a lower assumed percentage of fraudulent ballots, ranging from 28.2% all the way down to 1%. For each of the 29 scenarios that they assess, the researchers calculated the estimated number of fraudulent ballots, which were then subtracted from overall 2020 vote totals to generate a new estimate for vote totals. Ready? Overall, of the 29 different scenarios presented in the study, the researchers concluded that President Trump would have won the 2020 election in all but 3. Say it again. Overall, of the 29 different scenarios presented in the study, the researchers concluded President Trump would have won the 2020 election in all but 3. Specifically, they calculated that the only scenarios that would affirm the official 2020 election result, namely the candidate Biden won, were mail-in ballot fraud levels between 1 and 3% of ballots cast. Mail-in ballot fraud rates higher than 3% would, according to the study, mean more fraudulent Biden votes than should have been subtracted from the total, putting President Trump ahead. And they gave one example. The adjustment to the vote tallies under fraud percentage rates between 13 and 6% would mean that President Trump would have won Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, though he would have lost Michigan and Nevada. And under that scenario, Trump would have won 289 electoral college votes compared to candidate Biden's 249. Like, mail-in ballots, you know as well as I, it's code for cheat. It's not code for emergency. It's not code for stay home, stay calm, stay safe. We've got this for you. It's code for we're going to bend you over and we're going to steal from you a very precious right you have in this country. And that right is as a citizen over the age of 18 who has taken the time to register to vote, which, lo and behold, we all have the ability to do so, that we decide who we want to be president. That's what Gavin Newsom's upset about. He's like, oh, snap. What's the nuclear option? What can we do? Trump wants same-day voting, no mail-in ballots, watermarked ballots, hand-counted, results by the 10 o'clock news. Any questions? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. See, I'm never on the right page, Brock. I'm so sorry. Hold on. President Trump gives the most detail we have heard thus far about what's going on underneath that one big, beautiful ballroom everybody's got their undies in a bunch about. Wait till you hear this. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I should have my pages ready, and I'm just not ready. I'm sorry. All right, here we go.
Get together, lady.
I know. So they're saying that in 28% of mail-in ballot senders inners, right? 28% of the people who sent in mail-in ballots admitted to committing one kind of fraud. Whether they filled out more than one, or they voted in a community that they don't live in anymore, or they filled out for other people and harvested them, 28%. And it took it down to, if it was only between 1 and 3% fraud, President Trump still would have won 5 out of the 7 swing states, something like that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think the most telling thing
It's so wrong.
is the thing that sticks out to me that is just head and shoulders one number that makes me go, and that's 81 million.
Mm-hmm.
That
you can't,
Crypt Keeper got 81 million votes. That, yeah.
That's such bullshit. It's not even funny. Okay. Sorry, Harley, if you're listening, but just erase that from your mind.
Wow.
You know, it's cravings are not a willpower problem. When I was pregnant, I blamed the baby because I had to eat donuts. That wasn't a willpower.
Dunkin's stock went down.
I was like, there's often a hormone signaling problem, and you hear about the hormone GLP-1. And this is a product that Juvenon has that is extraordinarily popular with people who have extreme weight that they want to lose. This is not the 5 to 10 pound weight loss crowd. This is people who have 40, 80, 100 pounds to lose, something like that. Okay. This is the alternative to some of the other stuff that's out on the market that has to do with pharmaceuticals. A lot of people are sketch about that because we don't know about the long-term effects. I was talking to Joe about that. And as a physician, he's like, I'm worried about long-term effect, loss of muscle mass, which is going to be really hard for people who lose significant amounts of weight, because then the skin is just kind of flaccid on your bones and you don't have the muscles there. That could be a right. GLP-1 Gold is an alternative to that. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. One hormone called GLP-1 plays a major role in telling your brain that you're full and helping control your appetite. And when that signal is not working well, cravings are loud and you're easily taken down the path of the munchkin. And you don't want that. So you've probably heard about GLP-1s because of the prescription weight loss drugs. They force the hormone to trigger. This is not a forcing thing. It's more of an encouragement thing. This is where GLP-1 Gold comes in. It's a supplement designed to support natural GLP-1 pathways. And they use research plant extracts tied to appetite regulation, metabolic signaling, and blood sugar balance. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. GLP-1 Gold.
Show me how the piggies eat. Someone said, you ate donuts? She ate them all.
30% off. You can have that for $1 a month, $1 a day, $1 a day. That's GLP-1 Gold. How's that compared to the Ozempic, Wegovy, and whatever the hell? Right? I'm going to go with safer, and I said so, so it's fabulous. Wow. Right?
Since you put it that way. So it is written.
So it shall be done. Yes. The big, beautiful ballroom and those designs. The beautiful pictures. Look at the pillars. This is bulletproof glass. This is state-of-the-art, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be privately financed, this ballroom, ostensibly to accommodate dignitaries from around the world. Instead of putting up some pop-up tent and porta-johns on the White House lawn, let's have something fitting of the greatest place on planet Earth and the leader of it, right? So the left loses its mind about that. Well, nothing's going on with the ballroom. It's all about what's being done below the ballroom. And it's going to be pretty remarkable. So there are legal wranglings, and now the House, was it the Senate parliamentarian what's that woman's name? McDonough or whatever?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Something like that.
So she's put the squeeze. We got to have a dive on this chick one of these days. We got to talk about this Senate parliamentarian who I think holds more power than anybody next to the president. She's put the squeeze on any construction further with this ballroom because there's some wrangling, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't stop the stuff going on below the surface, which is all covered under the whole White House protection, national security kind of apparatus. And so that construction's allowed to take place. Well, what's going on underneath the ballroom? Ballroom is like, it is a smokescreen because it is. And President Trump yesterday was talking to reporters outside the White House, and you hear the construction going on behind him. There's cranes dropping stuff. There's beams going across the background behind him, and they're digging up and excavating something pretty significant underneath this ballroom. Here's the president.
I want to take a look at the complexity. These are all different rooms down here. They're building a hospital. It's a military hospital. They're building all sorts of research facilities, also meeting rooms and rooms that go hand in hand for the military using the ballroom. And the ballroom is really a shield and protecting all of the things that are built here. This goes, as you see, it's already up to the ground. This goes down very deep. You get a better view right over here. This is down because we've already done these floors. But these are already down 2 floors. That is down about 6 stories deep. That's big stuff. Normally, when you build a ballroom, you build it flat. You just build a ballroom. It would have been built. The complexity of this, and again, it's all knit. It's all knit together between the drone proofing, the missile proofing, we have, and the drone capacity upstairs. We can have all sorts of military up, whether I hate to use the word snipers, but we have great sniper capacity. It's built for our snipers, not the enemy snipers, our snipers. And because of the height, we get a very clear view of everything all over Washington. Yeah.
So he's calling it the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, right? And we had one. It's a bomb shelter. And there was one under the now torn down east wing of the White House. It was built during World War II, intended to provide security for top White House officials. If there was ever an attack in some way, they would be hustled into that bunker for their protection. But I think there's something so much more. Brock, am I totally wrong? Am I wrong in looking at this ballroom and people squawking about, oh, it's all Donald Trump's friends, and they just want to sit there and be fat cat billionaires on the taxpayer? And they're like, no, we're funding the ballroom ourselves. It's going to be $400 million. But the real story is really what's going underneath. Am I wrong?
I don't disagree. And I think that's why he came out and did that video to show them. This isn't about a ballroom. You're complaining about something. You're making a story out of nothing. What we're doing is upgrading
100%
what's needed to be upgraded.
But beyond that, 6 stories
That's
deep.
huge.
6 stories. What it looks like they've done is get the courts gummed up in something that the left loves to do. It's almost like Trump put out some kind of, sort of like when you're trying to capture a chipmunk, you put peanut butter and some nuts on something and have them walk across it, right? It's like he set out peanut butter. And then the Democrats went haywire because all they can do, their platform is resist Trump. So like, a billionaire's ballroom, and they're going to have us pay for it. And well, they're all gummed up and everything twisted over there. And the judge is like, well, let's pause that. However, this other jazz, which is the real intent of the project. Well, I can go ahead. I'm telling you what, 6 stories deep. Is that to protect us from aliens? Don't scoff at me. More UFO stuff is dropping. I've got the latest. Do not miss it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm just saying, I know nothing, but
I texted you a tweet. He put out a tweet about the parliamentarian.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you didn't see it.
I did not see it. What does it say?
Get rid of her.
Well, no
essentially.
duh. Right. No duh. It doesn't sound like this individual who I believe dates back to Obama.
Yes. No, Harry Reid, I think.
Oh, Harry Reid. Well, Harry Reid was during Obama. Yeah.
Why do we keep See, that's where I envy the Democrats. They get rid of these people.
Right.
And we keep them on like welfare recipients.
Oh, that's such a great point.
I don't want to fire you because it's not the right thing to do. Listen, sometimes firing people is the actual right thing to do for your. Let's just take it from a business perspective. From a business, there's a guy I follow called Gary V. And
Not our Gary Varvel, who I love.
no,
my boyfriend.
He says, I will fire fast because nothing destroys anything worse than a toxic. He goes, I don't care if he's my highest earner. If he's making it worse for everybody else.
You got to go, bro. Let's talk about Kelly Morgan.
Right after talking about you shoveling donuts in your face.
And Morgan's Fitness. I think everybody has their own breaking moment. They're that point where they look in the mirror and they're like, I have to do this for me. You know, it's not a matter of my husband. I want him to find me attractive or what have you. It's better for me. It's healthier for me. I feel better. I've fallen off of the wagon. I've lost my way. I'd really like to lose 20 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that. Is that possible? Yes, and it's possible in 90 days. And it's possible to do it without any kind of intervention like drugs. It's the old-fashioned way. You know, a sit-up and a salad. If fewer calories in and you're exercising and you're developing that core strength that you need, protects your back, protects everything about you, having that core strength. Kelly Morgan acknowledges not everybody is gym savvy or wants to go work out. Is familiar with the machines or is interested in being around other people while they're on their personal fitness mission. And so this has become very popular. It's called 90 Ignite. And what it is, it's an online deal where you go to moregainsfitness.com and it's More Gains with a Z. And you sign up for this program and you learn how to eat. Kelly teaches you about food and about choices. And then she has colleagues who do videos of them performing various exercises. And then you're given the blueprint of you're going to do this, and this, and you're going to have that and that. And you're going to do that for 3 months. Now, 3 months sounds like a long time. But between now, let's see, May, June, July, August, between now and Labor Day, you could become a figment of your former self. And you can do it in comfort and privacy. MoreGainsFitness.com. If you don't mind being around a bunch of other sweaty people, why not go to the gym? More Gains Fitness has 4 of those locations in Pennsylvania. Just outside of Pittsburgh, Johnstown area. Beautiful people, wonderful woman. And a great service, I believe.
Bro, you prayer people out there, but you pray it doesn't rain today.
You want to play?
I do.
Oh, it's great. You know what?
I am pain free.
I am happy to hear that. Are you going to the chiropractor today?
No.
You're not.
I've
Did
pushed
you change
it till next week since there's a game. I have a game today and construction project at the house on the weekend. So
you know what? That's a good point. What you should do is tell everybody where your game is. And so if they are in the Pittsburgh area, they could come watch you be a catcher.
No.
Why not? If there wasn't Oakland Catholic's graduation, the Twins I know would go watch you play baseball.
If it what?
It's Oakland Catholic's graduation, so they have a lot of friends who are.
If I had seen live pitching in the last year, maybe it could be ugly. I haven't seen live pitching in 2 years.
Riding a bike, baby. It's like riding a bike.
I'm gonna have to get on base. I might have to lean into one.
Is this your first time playing as a member of AARP?
I believe it is. I'm not a member of AARP.
Good boy. Oh, good boy. It would be AMAC, if anything,
no,
right?
You'll see me hobbling in tomorrow if we play.
I'll be very interested.
Because I actually want to catch.
He had some problems with sciatica.
Yeah.
And he was on the cusp of needing Dr. Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. And he went to a chiropractor and has been going through these treatments for several months and has seen such beautiful benefit. And then he told me, why don't you go in with your toe?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's that chiropractor going to do for my toe? And I will say I have 85% pain improvement and mobility now that I didn't have before, just from him breaking up the scar tissue with the red light therapy. And we have a red light therapy sponsor coming up next week. I'm very excited about this. Very excited. Because I think red light therapy
Not just red light therapy. We did the laser therapy.
I did
the
laser
percussion therapy.
And the percussion, and that's
life-changing.
In the moment, not
enjoyable.
It
works. Insurance doesn't cover it.
Isn't that? I mean, honestly, that's the backwards that we're trying to remedy.
Yes.
This isn't, today that the UFO files contradict NASA's long-standing claims. Get out. They lie to us? That's such a shocker. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, so-called delay of phase 2 of the UFO files. It's fueling fresh claims that insiders are obstructing the White House's transparency push. It's an interesting thing for Los Angeles Magazine to write about. I'll read you a couple paragraphs here, and then we'll get to some sound. I think this whole journey that you and I are on with aliens and crashed aircraft, spacecraft, flying saucers, wherever you are on the belief spectrum, whether you've said it's garbage or you're like, yeah, I totally believe that. We're walking that path, right? Aliens are real, no doubt. They've crashed. We've known about this for years, and you're going to find out for how long really we've known about this. Here's the story. The White House's UFO file release officially kicked off May 8th. However, believers, and that's in quotes, believers and lawmakers say the biggest bombshells are still hidden behind closed doors. You could tell that they're dying too. They're like, I really want to tell you about this, but I can't do it. I'm sworn to secrecy. Somebody else do it first. It's sort of like that's where we are. It's like everybody knows what's going on, but nobody's going to say it. Who's going to say it first? Earlier this month, the Trump administration launched a new federal portal dedicated to classified, declassified UFO and UAP material, releasing more than 150 documents, military encounter reports, cockpit videos, and intelligence files tied to unexplained aerial phenomena. And while technically there's not a whole lot of new information included, it signaled that step in the right direction in terms of transparency. One prominent voice in the UFO transparency movement, Lou Elizondo, said the recent disclosure effort may not have delivered the explosive revelations many expected, but he argued that the release still marked a major turning point, particularly regarding NASA's long-denied possession of historical alien material connected to the Apollo missions. Really? He pointed specifically to newly released lunar photographs and audio recordings, saying they appear to contradict decades of public statements from NASA, claiming it held no significant UAP-related evidence in its archives. Really? So you've got something coming out here. Rob Schmidt last night on Newsmax, he had investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell on, and he's talking about President Trump posting a picture of himself. Did you see it? It's kind of this weird picture that Trump posted. It's sort of like taken by somebody at a distance, and it's sort of like at this cockeyed angle, and it shows Trump walking very presidentially with other Secret Service guys around him, and there's an alien. It looks like an alien. You're traditional, what you would imagine in your mind's eye an alien look like, walking next to him, roughly the same size. And it's very interesting that the president put that out. So they're talking about this photo. Why would the president do that? We know Trump has been briefed. We know it's not a matter of if aliens exist, but finally revealing solid proof of their existence instead of dancing around the outside of the campfire. Listen.
That picture is just showing for public interest, and it is pretty cool that he put that out. He also congressionally mandated transparency about the UAP thing, and you and I have been talking about this for years. UFOs are not a matter of belief; it's either true or not true. And we've had 3 hearings on UAP since we last talked, which means that people have stood up there, raised their hand, and said, "Yeah, not only are UFOs real, but we have their craft. We've been exploiting them for derivative technologies, and some of them have pilots, beings, non-human intelligence, they call it." So these are like career Navy and intelligence people. Right. So now it's time to open the books, and that's what President Trump ordered.
It's an interesting kind of pickle, because there's information that we all suspect, and then there's stuff that they want to continue lying to us about, whomever they are. But think about who was it that raided? Was it the CIA who raided Tulsi Gabbard's office and took her, that she was about to declassify those files on the assassination of JFK, and also the CIA mind control operation MK Ultra. The CIA comes in the darkest of night during a government shutdown, as Tulsi Gabbard, as DNI, is trying to declassify this information and put it out because the president said, do it. Declassify. People want transparency. We created Trump. He hears you. You want to know. And the deep state doesn't want that to happen. This gentleman continues to tell Rob Schmidt, again, investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell, he says, and others, they're trying to get the truth out, pressuring Congress and the president to release about 4 dozen very specific videos that will go a great way to explaining to the probably discerning public and questioning public about what we really know. Listen.
There are 46 videos. George Knapp and I, my partner in journalism, an investigative reporter as well, we put forward 46 file names. And I was told directly from Representative Luna, Representative Burleson, and Representative Burchett that we are getting those 46 videos come hell or high water. It would be a great data set for the public to see what George Knapp and I have seen. It's a good start. Yeah. The whole thing, I don't know, the world's ready for it, but let's see.
Well, yeah, let's see. I always go back to that 60 Minutes and those USS Nimitz pilots that saw the Tic Tac, and they're just like, it was the middle of the day. It was clear as anything. Thing drops from 80,000 feet, which is like space, down to right above the water. I mean, it's just like, if you see these people that are so credible, and you're thinking, there must be more. There's got to be something that we know.
And Tim Burchett was on John Solomon's show, Just the News, yesterday, and he was asked, why has this information been kept secret for so dang long?
It could be a myriad of many things. It could be a zero energy. It could be a fact that we'd have to retool to, some of our major industry would have to retool because we had this technology. And it could be just the arrogance of we don't know what the heck we've got and don't know what to do with it, and we're not going to tell anybody about it, which I think there's a lot of that going on with it. I think that you've got some things that we just can't understand, where you see in the videos there of things that are flying at speeds that we can't achieve and at angles that we can't turn, and the amount of times flying on the surface and then going underwater and then coming out. We've just got too much testimony and too much out there. So and I think there's going to be some misinformation they're going to put out too in this next group of files, intentionally to screw us up. So, you'll obviously be able to see some of this stuff, obviously, that it is a balloon or some of this other stuff. I've seen some of these videos. I'm wondering why the heck they're even putting them out. But I think the cover-up continues, and I do believe the president and the White House, the good guys, so to speak, are having a hard time with a lot of our alphabet agencies and the deep state. It's classic deep state versus America. And I hope And I'm just grateful President Trump keeping his word to us. He said he was going to release him. He made that commitment to me, and he's followed through with it. It's just how far can we get?
How far can we get? So Wikipedia tells me John Lear, before my time, an American pilot, aviator, and prominent UFO conspiracy theorist. All of these conspiracy theorists should be called conspiracy truthers. In 1987, I found this audio clip and I wanted to play it for you. He was talking on George Knapp's On the Record series. If you're from Vegas, KLS TV, you probably remember this series. He's talking about President Eisenhower being shown crashed spacecraft and interacting with aliens and telling them that America was not ready to know the truth. What? Listen to this, 1987.
And we've got a copy of, I think, outside of that document where Eisenhower is briefed in that.
He was briefed, and he set it up. And interesting thing, in late 53 or early 54, Eisenhower witnessed an alien demonstration of technology and power at Muroc Dry Lake, which is now called Edwards Air Force Base.
How do you know that? How did you get that?
We have witnesses who were there.
Who say the president was there seeing?
The president was there. There's an English guy. He passed away. He either passed away just recently, but before he did, he was the last living person who was present at that meeting. And he said that Eisenhower told the aliens that the world was not ready for him. And nothing happened until the first part of the 60s. Several more crashed in the 50s. In 1960, Kennedy was elected. Eisenhower was the last president to have a full briefing on the alien problem. There was a disdain of elected officials throughout the intelligence and military communities, and they just didn't like elected officials. So every president since then has not had high enough clearance to know the whole problem. Now they know there's aliens, they know we've recovered saucers, and they know that we're trying to get technology. But there are certain other things which probably only about 25 people on the face of this earth know.
Yeah, but they're all dead, right? Sort of like all those missing scientists and dead people related to NASA and technology and quantum physics and propulsion. I'm sure it's just weird how that works, right? But think about that. Eisenhower, when was he first in office? 1953. So back as far as we have a guy, 1987, telling us something 40 years ago, right? 40 years ago about something that happened 30 years before that, right? President Eisenhower told the aliens that America wasn't ready for them. Say what? Now, can you imagine coming out back in the day and saying that? It would be like coming out back in the day of COVID and not wearing a mask. People would be like, oh, you demon child. It's like you're guilted into this weird cone of silence. Well, it's broken. And people are just tired. We're just tired. I'm tired of being stolen from. I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of people who pretend to represent values that I have, who vote against those values, and then are like flabbergasted that enough people are pissed off to vote them out of office. They can say it's Trump's party. They can say it's Trump's agenda. They can say it's Trump's country, but it's not. What you're watching is a resurgence of American exceptionalism and pride. And enough people saying, I just want to know. I'm a grown-up. I can handle the truth. Let me decide. A president who agrees with us and a deep state blob that always wants to be in charge. When we come back, when you lose comedian Whitney Cummings and she walks away from her toxic liberalism and leaves the Democrat Party, you've got to be like, what? We're going to hear from her. Joe Rogan's podcast yesterday. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So while I was talking, I felt like a spider or something on my skin, and now I'm all itchy all over. It's so gross. I'm like, I don't know what hair. It probably was, but now I feel it everywhere. It's like, oh, it's on my skirt.
Someone asked me if my coach for baseball was Buttermaker or Buttermilk or whatever his name is for the Bad News Bears. Essentially, that's what it is. You have a bunch of older men who are trying to capture their youth I mean, we had a guy play second base who's literally afraid of the ball. And I would get upset and be like, get in front of the ball.
Well, this is not softball. This is hard pitch,
baseball.
fast pitch baseball. And he's come in hobbled several times because he took one off the knee or he caught it the wrong way on his hand and your palm is sore or what have you, foul balls. And I'm like, I don't know how anybody would play catcher.
I
That's
don't
just
know.
a crazy thing.
You get Wendy to a game, I'll tell you where the field is.
Why?
What?
Why? Why if I go to
To
a
give
game?
you laughs.
Oh.
You would find it. And there's guys on my team that watch the show.
You've carved out the ones that aren't believers, haven't they? They've paled off. They've peeled off.
Yeah.
A couple of them, they were like, man. You're like,
Some
okay,
of them,
whatever.
like, I'm there to have fun. Some
This
of them,
isn't political. We're
there
not
are
talking
some.
politics here.
There were two guys that are liberal, but like they were super nice guys. Like we didn't talk politics, but there was one guy who was toxic. Not toxic. Just didn't agree with me, and he sit there and pick. And we all drink beer after the game, obviously. And he kept going and going and going. I was like, you want to have this conversation?
Right.
And the one guy that I'm friends with who was liberal, he's like, oh, my man, don't do it. He's going to make you look stupid, which is going to make all our ideas and anyone who agrees with you look stupid. Please don't do it. He did. And yes, he looked stupid. And then he quit the team.
By the way, this was not yesterday. This is months ago, this audio that you're about to hear. But to me, it's very interesting. And it speaks about, like I say, on that spectrum, everybody has their own moment where they're like,
Eureka.
What the heck is going on? Like you can very easily get too busy doing your life, worrying about raising your children, or maybe you're in that sandwich generation where you've got parents that you're taking care of and kids that you're trying to get through college and whatnot. It's easy, and I get it, where you're just like, I'm not paying attention to this. And it really was not until I got on radio and my conservatism started coming out. What?
I could say for me, and probably for you a little bit too, Rush Limbaugh, out of college, I had to run his show for the local radio station. And I started listening. I would say I still wasn't uber political, but like it was very interesting, entertaining, and I started listening. That's harmony.
I know it is.
What? Oh, that'll kill the bugs on you.
I don't know, but it's itchy and it's really annoying. So I just sprayed it all over myself.
What's worse, this
It smells-
itchiness or waking up to a dead squirrel that your feet apparently killed? You're stanky, gnarled.
It was a chipmunk. Get it straight.
Chipmunk, squirrel, whatever.
That's why I hate chipmunks. Invaded the sanctity of a bed with me. Dying. How long was it there?
Just think of his last moments. Ugh.
Fact check on this. I said this happened yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday. This was January 10th. So there's a comedian. Her name is Whitney Cummings. She's funny. She's funny. I mean, I think people can be funny regardless of politics. It's unfortunate that politics has ruined humor. Like we stopped being able to have fun. We stopped being able to make jokes about people without being outraged or offended, right? And I thought about this morning. Thank God that whole pronoun nonsense has been put on the back burner. It's like, think about what they put us through. I'm Wendy. I'm a she, her. It's like, what? It's the stupidest thing ever. Well, Whitney Cummings at some point in the last year or so had her own epiphany as a comedian. She's an actress, a comedian. She questions why she saw through the hypocrisy of what the left was saying and then what they were doing. And so she goes on the Joe Rogan Experience. She's 43 years old. She's an actress and comedian. And she touched on some of the hypocritical actions of woke liberals. And she describes herself as being one of those wacky, college-educated, blue-haired, ferocious libs. And she doesn't look like that anymore. And she's not walked away from the party, but she's keenly aware of its foibles. Listen to her explain to Joe Rogan.
But as someone who I feel like is similar to you, and then I'm like, I was as liberal. I had blue hair, you guys. Like
yeah, I remember when you had blue hair.
I rescue pit bulls. Like it doesn't get any more liberal than me. Like it doesn't get any more. But the whole idea with being liberal is like you had me at we're not racist. Everyone's equal. But diversity. But then it turns into diversity.
Communism.
Diversity, but not diversity of thought.
Right.
Not the hypocrisy of it got, and I think that as comics, we're people who, I may not be an expert in politics, but I'm an expert on hypocrisy. When you grow up around alcoholics who say "I love you" and then their behaviors in Congress, you look for patterns of hypocrisy. That's just what we're wired to do. So it just started to just be like, hold on, we don't believe in gender, but we need a female president. You're like, huh? And then it's like, my body, my choice. Unless it's a baby that needs a vaccine for hepatitis B, which comes from butt sex. Like, what do you, right?
And sharing needles.
And then, we believe in climate change and sea is rising, but we live on the coast. Like, would you buy a house on the beach if you truly believed that the seas are, the left stopped making an argument or even outlining what they're just, well, no, I'm moral and I'm better than you and I don't have to even make an argument.
The left stopped even trying to make an argument. This is the way it is. This is the way it is forever, and it shall be done. And there are a lot of people in the Democrat side of things who kind of went along with it for a while, maybe because they hate Trump. And they're like, anything that's not him, fine, I'm for. And then things just got stupid. And now you've got people, and it does take somebody like a Tim Robbins, who during COVID, whose partner is the toxic Susan Sarandon. Love her as an actress, but what a buffoon who came out with all of these demands of people. You're going to make me sick if you're not vaccinated. Stay 6 feet. And Tim Robbins had said some things on X that were extraordinarily demeaning to those of us who believed in everything other than what they were talking about. And he came out after the fact and he put out a very public apology. I apologize. I railed on people with not enough knowledge. I believed the narrative. I was malleable. They shaped it into me. I accepted it and I spit it out and I was wrong and I apologize to you. It takes a hell of a lot. It shouldn't take a whole lot to be like, you know what? I fudged up and I apologize and I'm going to do better because it makes me feel bad inside, right? We have a lot of people in this country who, as these calendar pages turn, are going to be forced to either admit their cognitive dissonance and be like, fudge, I got played and I'm sorry, and begin to mend some fences, or they're going to have to keep their head buried in the sand and go in all the way, because what they're going to go in all the way on is the Democrat Party agenda, which will be not, this is what we're going to do for America. This is how we're going to help America. It will be destroying, crushing the spirit of MAGA. Literally. That's what it's going to come down to. I don't know about you, but it's going to take some hardcore theft of our votes. And Donald Trump is ready for it. And so are 130 judges and lawyers across the country. I hate when that happens. Thanks for being a part of the show, guys. Loved it, love you. Come on back tomorrow. Have a great day. Peace.